Kasama si Pope Francis at ng buong mundo. Pagkilusan natin ang mga panawagan ng encyclical letter na Laudato Si on Care for Our Common Home sa ika-5 anibersaryo nito. Sa linggo ng Laudato Si mula ika-16 hanggang ika-24 ng Mayo, magsama-sama tayo para sa ating common home sa pagkilos sabay-sabay dahil ang lahat ay magkakaugnay.
Hello and good evening to everyone watching. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And welcome to the third webinar hosted by Laudato Si, Living Laudato Si Philippines for the celebration of Laudato Si Week 2020, celebrating the 5th year of Pope Francis's second encyclical entitled Laudato Si on Care for Our Common Home. So this webinar is entitled Laudato Si Schools Towards Ecological Citizenship. Now, before we begin, let me just begin by reminding you a few of our house rules for this evening for those who have attended before and for those who have newly attended this webinar. Here are a few of our house rules to ensure that we all have a positive and pleasant experience in this webinar. So first of the house rules is if you want to communicate, there is a chat box right there and you can introduce yourself, where you're from, go ahead. We would love to collaborate with you in the future. And also, the second house rule is, but if you have any questions, we have a question and answer tab in the bottom of your screen, if you can see there in your Zoom screen. And third is, please be mindful of your comments. Yes, you have the free will to share your insights and your takeaways and your opinions, but please be sensitive to the other audiences in this webinar. Thank you so much. And to begin, let us all have a prayer.
A prayer for our earth. All-powerful God, you are present in the whole universe and in the smallest of your creatures. You embrace with your tenderness all that exists. Pour out upon us the power of your love, that we may protect life and beauty. Fill us with peace, that we may live as brothers and sisters, harming no one. O God of the poor, help us to rescue the abandoned and forgotten of this earth, so precious in your eyes. Bring healing to our lives, that we may protect the world and not prey on it, that we may sow beauty, not pollution and destruction. Touch the hearts of those who look only for gain at the expense of the poor and the earth. Teach us to discover the worth of each thing, to be filled with awe and contemplation, to recognize that we are profoundly united with every creature as we journey towards your infinite light. We thank you for being with us each day. Encourage us, we pray, in our struggle for justice, love, and peace.
Thank you so much. And tonight, just to add, it is the third webinar for celebrating Laudato Si Week, but it is also the 5th webinar hosted by Living Laudato Si Philippines. And so tonight, our focus will be on education. Now, education plays a vital role in empowering citizens, especially the youth, in caring for the environment. The increasing complexities of environmental degradation and the climate emergency the world is facing requires a learning approach that goes beyond the boundaries of the classroom. Pope Francis calls us for an environmental education aimed at creating an ecological citizenship. Now, the Pope calls us to become responsible and to also mold the youth. Tonight, I am very blessed to be with a panelist full of experienced and wonderful and caring, well-rounded individuals. But first, let me start off by introducing the Executive Director of Living Laudato Si Philippines, Sir Rodney Galicia. Now, Sir Rodney Galicia, there we are. Oh, thank you, sir. Sir Rodney Galicia is a resource person on environment and sustainability. He was also the former Philippine manager, the country manager for Climate Reality Project, which was founded by Nobel laureate and former US Vice President Al Gore. Now, he is the executive director of Living Laudato Si Philippines. LLS is a movement focused on ethical and environmentally sustainable investments and practices of Catholic institutions and individuals. And also in the year 2018, he was awarded as one of the 2018 10 Outstanding Young Men and Women, or TOYM, in the Philippines. Now, without further ado, here is Sir Rodney.
Thank you so much, Winken, for that wonderful introduction. But first, let me recognize also the presence of the indigenous peoples, brothers and sisters. I think there are many of them today and tonight, and I would like to thank them for maintaining sustainable livelihoods, maintaining harmony and balance in nature. Thank you so much for taking care of our forests, for taking care of our ecosystems. And of course, I would like to recognize as well the presence of our esteemed panelists. We have from Ateneo de Davao, we have from the University of Santo Tomas, the La Salle, University-Dasmariñas, Miriam College, the Recoletos schools represented by Brother Tagoy Hakosalem, and many, many more. Green Convergence also is here, Dr. Nina Galang, my mentor in the environment movement. And I would like also to thank the Global Catholic Climate Movement, the Archdiocese of Manila Ministry on Ecology for partnering with us in this session, Laudato Si Schools Towards Ecological Citizenship. And of course, from USD, we have Simbahayan. From Ateneo de Davao, we have Ecoteneo. From Miriam College, we have the Environmental Studies Institute and the Recoletos schools represented by Brother Tagoy of Arcores, the social action arm of the Recoletos Augustinian Recollects congregation. So let me first, of course, introduce what Living Laudato Si Philippines is. It's inspired by the encyclical letter of Pope Francis, Laudato Si on Care for Our Common Home. And we envision a future with Laudato Si principles follow this way of life, and sustainability is the future. We commit also to build capacity and foster more partnerships, mainstreaming, of course, the teachings of Laudato Si as a framework and tool for sustainable development, and partner with institutions and individuals, faith-based organizations, influence them to divest from destructive industries and activities and shift towards financing solutions which promote sustainability and social justice. Our first, of course, work is focused on divestment. And we're asking everyone to divest for sustainability and invest in our common home. We keep track of Catholic investments in financial entities, institutions, and corporations. We also work with the church to call on local financial institutions to divest from industries that harm the environment and shift and invest their resources in sustainability. We're part of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, NASA Convergence. We go different parts of the country. We bring this documentary of Cheche Lazaro, Our Power. It's a 30-minute investigative documentary of Probe Productions, which exposes the realities on the ground of a coal-fired power plant industry, of coal-fired power industry in the country. And then after screenings, we hold the town hall discussions, meetings with a panel of representatives from many sectors of the society. Another program we have is the hashtag LS211. The encyclical of Pope Francis highlights 9 doable and effective ways on how to take care of our environment. These are the nine. You have it there, and this will become important part of the framework of Laudato Si schools. And of course, we have Laudato Si schools framework. When I went to the Vatican, to Rome, we presented this to the dicastery for integrating, for promoting integral human development. This is under the leadership of Cardinal Turkson. But way back 2017, when I was with Ma'am Belay of Ateneo de Davao, there is this framework for sustainability of Ateneo de Davao. And we thought of 10 ways, 10 eco-actions on how to promote Laudato Si in the ecological strategic plan of Ateneo de Davao. And when I presented this to Father Josh in the Vatican last year, he said, the number is 10. It should be 7, because number 7 in the Catholic Church is very, very important. And we will talk about Jubilee, talk about year 1, year 2, year 3, and Father Josh said that he's the coordinator of the sector in ecology and creation of the dicastery. All right, develop 7, and we'll see what we can do. So what we did was to reclassify it and make it 7. This is just a very, very rough draft, and that's why we have this session tonight and gathering some experts and also those schools or universities, Catholic schools and universities, which actually are implementing strategic actions and ways on how to take care of our common home. So this is what we call the Laudato Si schools framework. We have 7 Laudato Si schools eco actions. But of course, in this framework, we get this from a document of Pope Francis. Pope Francis said ecological education can take place in a variety of settings at school. So first, as the first. So then he said families, in the media, catechesis, and elsewhere. But he would like to stress the importance of the family. The family. So from the family, usually we have students, we have children, and we bring them to school. So for Pope Francis, it will start, of course, in family. So the place in which life is the gift of God can be properly welcomed and protected against many attacks to which it is exposed. And for him is authentic human growth. That is our goal. So there are 2 components here. First is the family, and then you have the school. But of course, the family and the school is within our society. But when you go to school, what will you bring back to your homes? So I think this is the overall strategy. What you actually learn at school, you need to bring back them at home. But of course, then again, that will start ecological conversion, and then you will influence the society. Then another one, very, very important, is it needs educators capable of developing an ethics of ecology first. Second, helping people through effective pedagogy to grow. Number 4, solidarity. 5, responsibility. And number 6, compassionate care. And this comprised environmental education should facilitate making the leap towards the transcendent, which gives ecological ethics its deepest meaning. That's what Laudato Si is saying. So what's the first? So the first is transition to clean and sustainable energy. This is highlighted in Laudato Si. That there is an urgent need to develop policies so that in the years to come, the emission of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases can be drastically reduced, substituting fossil fuels and developing sources of renewable energy. Very clear. And we have some examples in later on when our panelists will share their eco actions. Number 2, responsible water utilization, because water is wasted. That is what Laudato Si number 30 is telling us. Number 3, ecological solid waste management. You know, the phrase culture of waste. No? It's you know, that, we have not yet managed to adopt a circular model of production capable of preserving resources for present and future generations. But it must be said that only limited progress has been made in this regard, says Laudato Si number 22. Number 4, greening institutional management systems. It talks about finances, it talks about processes, it talks about how you conduct your examinations, it talks about green purchasing, it talks about where does your school's fund come from, where you invest your finances, etc. And of course, we talk about how to green your school, meaning to say your rooms, you should have greens there, how you manage and regulate your carinderias or your cafeterias, etc. So it talks about really the whole physical system and processes of the school. The management should be green and should follow the principles of Laudato Si. And Laudato Si number 142 and number 95 will actually explain all these. Number 5, integrated ecological curriculum and environmental sustainability research. Not only in the curriculum, but at least 50-60% of your research, of your thesis, your dissertations would actually involve care for our common home. This can be a criteria to make your school a Laudato Si school. So Laudato Si number 210 and Laudato Si number 42. Because all creatures are connected, each must be cherished with love and respect. All of us living creatures and dependent on one another. So environmental education should facilitate making the leap towards the transcendent, which gives ecological ethics, etc. Laudato Si number 210. And greater investment needs to be made in research. So we go to number 6, integrated ecological spirituality and transformative lifestyle. Retreats, recollections, bicycles, we have hashtag LS211, the 9 eco actions, which our students can actually do and act on those school or at home. Laudato Si number 211. So eco action number 6, Laudato Si 218, Laudato Si 206, and Laudato Si 211. And lastly, we have eco action number 7, policy, advocacy, campaigns, and solidarity. This is how you now influence communities, governments through your eco actions number 1 to number 6. So if you say mining, you need to get involved. If you say land use act, you need to get involved. If you say issues on large dams like Kaliwa Dam, you need to get involved. You need to give voice to the voiceless so that the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor will be heard. No? So these are just the very rough draft of the framework. Many of us will discuss what we do, and then we wish to integrate this. This session will not end at 9:30 because all of us will be involved, and we all together will develop Laudato Si Schools framework, and hopefully the Vatican and even the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, we have the pastoral letter on ecology, the 13 eco actions will be able to put all those in this Laudato Si Schools framework. So sisters and brothers, thank you so much for listening. And we hope that you will learn a lot from this session, the ways forward, what should be done, and we'll have dark green schools today, tomorrow and in the future. Thank you so much, and good morning for tomorrow. And I hope that our audience will participate, ask questions, and at the same time, we know that there are more than 800 registrants for this session coming from different countries. Well, majority would be from the Philippines, but we have participants, registrants from Europe, United States, Asia, even from Australia, except of course Antarctica. We don't have. But thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you will learn from this and develop strategies on how to make our schools Laudato Si school. Good morning for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Rodney. Now, Sir Rodney has introduced to us what Laudato Si schools are, the Laudato Si framework. So allow us to keep this in mind as we go through the session so that you can think about your inputs and what you think Laudato Si schools should be. And so moving on to our first speaker after Sir Rodney, we have, hold on, sir, the PowerPoint up. Thank you so much. Brother Tagoy Hakosalem, he of the Order of Augustinian Recollects, or OAR. He has been assigned in Recoletos School for 12 years now. He has been involved in environmental sustainability education. He has also worked on how schools participate in greening and waste management initiatives, and as Sir Rodney mentioned a while ago, how to involve the whole community in this endeavor. He actively joined in International Campus Sustainability Network, or ISCN, both as a participant and a resource speaker. Currently, he is assigned in Arcores, International Office in Madrid, Spain, and has been helping the global Educar Network schools on ecological education. Without further ado, here's Brother Tagoy. Brother Tagoy, are you there?
Okay. I'm Brother Tagoy Hakosalem. OER, I work in Bacolod for 9 years and in Cebu for 3 years, and both transitioning from schools and into active environmental actions. The Earth Chapel, this is a project in Bacolod where we involve students and lay people to be able to construct this Earth Chapel in Bacolod in the University of Negros Occidental Recoletos. Then my sharing is about where are we now? Our ecological schools, making Laudato Si schools entering into our schools, and greening schools is beyond sloganeering and even beyond beautification. And this is the standard sustainability framework, from biodiversity, food, culture, climate, integrating into the operations, the curriculum, the research, and engagement of the school. It's from Kelly, year 2009. And considering the Laudato Si within our, we call Laudato Si schools, this is a proposed ecological framework for us, just a proposal. Who are the actors? We have the leadership of the school, we have the faculty members, we have the students, we have the personnel, and the systems that we have: operations, academic or curriculum, outreach, engagement, research, and facilities. This is both system and praxis. And Laudato Si is giving us values, ecological spirituality, ecological education, ecological culture, ecological action, and ecological solidarity. Now our work is to be able to integrate these Laudato Si values and examining our operations, administration, student services, faculty instruction, physical plant, laboratories, facilities, and community extension. And we need to foment ecological education within our school system. And Rodney quoted Laudato Si 210 on ecological education. We need to have an ecological equilibrium, establishing harmony within ourselves, with others, with nature, and other living creatures, and with God. And This should facilitate making the leap forward towards the transcendent, which gives ecological ethics its deepest meaning. And then, are we capable of having this ethics of ecology, growing in solidarity, responsibility, compassionate care on the planet and on people? And then the need for us to embrace an ecological culture. This is a new way of thinking, policies, an educational program, a lifestyle, and a spirituality. This is our, this is our strategy. We hope we can read and expound on this, no? And the whole concept of Laudato Si schools is living, our schools must be living laboratories of our common home, as mentioned by Pope Francis in the encyclical. And schools, living laboratories for the care of creation. So where are we in the transition to change? We can analyze our school, we can propose projects, and the best way is to discern where we can move and where we can go. Then there's the absence of common eco ranking. No, there is from DepEd, but we are more looking for from the SEAP or from other accrediting schools to include environmental education, environmental sustainability framework into the accreditation of the schools. And then we have to break the old systems that we have and make an ecosystem within our school. Like, for example, adapting to 100% paperless, 100% energy efficient facilities, 100% ebooks, 100% eco-waste, and 100% participation. And some schools are doing this, and some are improving on this, but as a framework, we need to have this. And then the way our experience in the Recoletos schools allow me to share also with you, crafting a sustainable Laudato Si direction for our schools, infusing and integrating ecological values in the curriculum. Then we have some materials, you can download it, and journals can supplement, not necessarily changing everything, but journals, publication can supplement into the integration of the curriculum of our environmental framework. And then adapting it in the projects of the students, like we have partnered with Seed for Common, the solar making project, Ecotabang solar making project, like involving engineering students in this. And then number 2, introducing environmental streaming and management, the energy, the transition, the divestment of the school, the classroom to office conservation, then water like conservation and water harvesting of our campus, and waste segregation, recycling, to landfill. Examples, we have our seminary in Baguio. They are 100% harvesting the rainwater that they have. And then our seminary in Quezon City, having a water catchment also. And our university in Cebu, half of the parking area is a water catchment harvester. And then number 3, embracing environmental advocacies, biodiversity, eco campaigns, tree growing, eco and organic gardens in the campus. Then we have in our school in Bacolod, UNOR, University of Negros Occidental Recoletos, the Living Museum of Philippine Indigenous Trees within the campus. And then establishing eco parks like we have in University of San Jose-Recoletos, the Eco Park, involving students and religious and even from different schools. We also have the Eco Park of University of Negros Occidental Recoletos in Bacolod, again involving teachers, faculty, and all the community members of the school. Number 4, institutionalizing environmental campaigns in the campus, common among us, zero waste, no to plastics, win on waste, and pollution-free campus. This one, the part of the Green Heart, the Earth Chapel that we have in Bacolod, they have already beautified and adapting all these recycling, and repurposing initiatives. The number 5, participating in eco-solidarity campaigns like students involved in Fridays for Future, anti-coal campaign, no to mining campaign, and the ocean protection, like our students in University of San Jose-Recoletos in Cebu, very involved in the campaign against the closing of the CEMIX during the Naga landslide that killed 73 people. We manifest our protest on that quarrying by the CEMEX 3 weeks before the landslide. And when the landslide happened after 3 weeks, then uh, people realized that what we did, the students did with the community of protesting this quarrying is in itself an advocacy rooted in our care for nature. And then measuring our school footprint, carbon footprint, providing our institutional carbon footprint like energy inventory. Then foment eco network with and among schools, number 7. Like our eco park in University of San Jose-Recoletos partnered with different schools in the province of Cebu, not only for Recoletos, but other schools, other institutions. And then there's the new proposal of Pope Francis, the Global Compact Alliance, again, involving our actors, our systems into a very good praxis. No? The proposal of Pope Francis is, in this educational alliance, is ecological movement, inclusive movement, peace-making movement, and team movement within the system of the school, and be able to achieve a school that is a school village within the school. No? This is the dream of Pope Francis. This is a new proposal. The scheduled conference was supposed to be May 14 of this month, but it was, because of COVID, transferred to October 2020. Again, this is a challenge for all of us involved in the schools. Then the ecological pathways of Pope Francis, all this will be discussed by Rodney and some of our team. And I would like to play this video of the educational compact connected with our topic today.
In un momento di estrema frammentazione, di estrema contrapposizione, c'è bisogno di unire gli sforzi, di far nascere un'alleanza educativa per formare persone mature, capaci di vivere nella società e per la società. Un proverbio africano recita che dobbiamo fare in modo che in questo villaggio nasca una convergenza globale per un'alleanza tra gli abitanti della terra e la casa comune, affinché l'educazione sia creatrice di pace, di giustizia, sia accoglienza tra tutti i popoli della famiglia umana, nonché di dialogo tra le loro religioni. Dobbiamo avere il coraggio di formare persone disponibili a mettersi al servizio della comunità. Serve un patto educativo globale che ci educhi alla solidarietà universale, a un nuovo umanesimo. Cerchiamo insieme di trovare soluzioni, avviare i processi di trasformazione senza paura. Per questo ho promosso un evento mondiale che si terrà il 14 maggio del
Thank you, and thank you for listening. And other speakers are here with us to share their experience also.
Thank you so much, Brother Tagoy. Now we have a lot of questions for Brother Tagoy. We will be answering them later in the Q&A. So now you've seen all the activities and projects and programs that Brother Tagoy has already done in other schools within the country, and you can have all. I know there are a lot of teachers here tonight, so I hope that Brother Tagoy's speech talk has inspired you to think about programs that are appropriate, adaptable to your area. So for our next speaker tonight, we have Miss Carmela Marie Santos of Ateneo de Davao University. Now, she is the Ecoteneo Director of the Ateneo de Davao University. Thank you. She is a licensed urban planner and an environmental educator, an Ateneo de Manila alumna of BS Environmental Science and Masters in Environmental Management. She has been serving ADDU since 2011, when the Ecoteneo office was still a special project in ADDU High School. I hope I'm saying that right. She bikes to work and to training as, fun fact, a dragon boat paddler. Miss Myla is a board member of Eco Waste Coalition, or the Anti-Waste to Energy WTE or Incineration Campaign in Davao, and successfully send off Korean wastes in Misamis Oriental. She is also a coordinator of Sustainability of Life Project of the AJCUAP, Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities in the Asia Pacific. She is a JVP, or Jesuit Volunteers Philippines, and belongs to Christian Life Community, or CLC. Being Catholic and scientist and mother of three, she is a self-confessed tree hugger and earth keeper. Now, without further ado, here is Miss Myla. Miss Myla?
Melay here.
Oh,
Good
Mela.
evening. Okay, let's see if this will work. I cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing, so I will need the screen
Yes.
share. Okay, available. Okay, can I do this? Share screen, and then this one. Okay, out F5. So sabi nyo, ano to, di ba? Pamorningan naman to. Okay. Let's see, wait. Has it started? Out F5.
Yes, it started.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can see the
But
screen on
should,
slides.
yeah, but it should start already, right? From beginning.
Ah, there.
Can you see it?
We can see it na po.
Okay. Okay. I cannot wait. Can I just do this again? Okay. Can you see just the slide, or you can see everything?
Just the slide po.
Okay, that's good because I can my notes. Okay, maayong gabi sa tanan. Good evening. I'm here to share with you the story of how ADU aims to grow ecological citizenship in every student, whom we form to become an ADU sui generis leader. So when the Atenean in Davao graduates, it is not about the diploma or the career opportunities it may bring, but it's about carrying the heart of the mission of the Society of Jesus through the Ateneo de Davao. So the University Mission 2020 was recently discerned on from the mission articulated 5 years ago. And for our office, the Ecoteneo, we find our mission here at the part where it says it protects and promotes the environment as our common home, but also in the entire mission of the university. We have 3 campuses. Our latest, our baby campus, is the 4-hectare Bangkal campus that is home to the senior high school. So as the baby campus, it's the one with the greenest design and infrastructure. It has incorporated rainwater collection that is connected to the restrooms. Its windows and buildings are designed to maximize wind and sunlight. All campuses have solar panels. Solar capacity in Matina, which houses the grade school and junior high school, are at 50% of the energy consumption of grade school and high school. In Jacinto, it's 30%, and in Bangkal, it is 30%. The goal for the last 5 years was to reach at least 50%. So we're not yet there. To get to know our university president is to get to know Ateneo de Davao, Father Joel Tabora SJ, whom the students fondly call Father Tabs, served his first term in 2011. And by 2012, he was leading us into strong opposition against mining, especially Tampakan, as supported by studies undertaken by Tropics, the Tropical Institute for Climate Studies. In 2016, Father Tabora, at the request of the then Green Davao Coalition, led us to be heard at the City Council after the City Council removed the 10% green space requirement. It's unique to Davao in our comprehensive land use plan, 2013 to 2022. There is a requirement that for every 1 hectare of land to be developed, 10% must be set aside for green space. That's outside of the 30% allocation for roads and open spaces for common facilities. So our university community trooped to the SP halls with our grade school teachers, our junior high faculty and student leaders, to college admin faculty and student leaders to support the Green Davao Coalition. The coalition launched a signature campaign which reached friends in Manila through Dakila. I even saw Rodney's picture and signature there. And then the Ateneo de Davao, especially the grade school, were able to garner around 30,000 signatures of the 15,000 signatures we submitted to the then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte to ask him to veto the amended ordinance, which he eventually did. These signatures were accompanied by drawings of children. So there. At the right bottom is the city admin Melchor Kitain receiving drawings from our 2.5-year-old Athena, one of our champions in the Green Davao Coalition. So right before she turned 3, that veto was passed. When Sec Gina was installed as DNR secretary, there was much rejoicing, and she was welcomed warmly in Davao through the Oya Mindanao, a 3-day gathering of our partners and champions for Mindanao. So we had IP communities and their leaders join us, and our local farmers, our NGOs and youth leaders. She helped hand over the Mindanao Environment Agenda to President Rodrigo Duterte, with Father Tabora and the ADU community cheering on the agenda. Mindanao Environment for the Mindanao Peoples. She also signed the Save Davao Green Space Statement of Support, which at this time, even with the mayor's veto in, still reached 18,000 signatures. Our environment leaders in the junior high school, we call them the VPs for Ecoteneo, presented to her the campaign. She may not have been confirmed by the powers that be, but the ADU community, here led by the grade school headmaster, teacher Pop Lebron, the one with the green heart, did not waver in her support. And we brought that support for her and the environment from the highway to our campus. In 2018, the community supported Father Tabora's lead in declaring an SUP-free campus that is also an energy-conscious campus, with the goal of zero waste and waste energy reduction, or waste energy reduction policy, we call it the WERPA. The initial list of banned single-use plastics are called the Plastics 12, which included PET bottles and plastic utensils. The call was to switch to BYO, bring your own. Bring your own tumbler, bring your own, BYOB would be bring your own baonan with utensils. The memo was out in September 2018, which was a fitting answer to the 300-strong signature campaign for a plastics-free ADU led by the Ecoteneo Student Unit when they launched a photo exhibit on the plastics ocean for World Environment Day 2018. The theme of that year was Beat Plastics Pollution. The SUP ban boosted the goals of our existing eco-waste management program. We had segregation in place and a materials recovery facility, or MRF, in each campus, but F can also be for farm. With the ban, a dramatic reduction was realized in all campuses, 30% across all waste for the Bangkal campus, 60% across all types of waste in Matina, and for Jacinto, 90% decrease in recyclables was realized. However, there was an increase in the paper packaging, including paper cups. So this means the promotion of BYO is still on. Student research in college reflected this growing awareness and concern for the state of Davao's environment. So the latest BPI awardees for 2019 were on studies related to plastic wastes and the bulk water supply project of Davao City, which essentially privatizes a river. Also, around this time, 2 years ago, we were adjusting the K to 12 curriculum. So the core curriculum was reviewed, and integrity of creation um, was embedded across all subjects. You can see here also the chemistry engineering department chair was recognized with the BPIDOST Science Award. Engineer Lea De Castro. She also anchors the weekly radio program of Happy Verde, Spirit FM 89.9. ADU fosters robust research to be in the forefront of technology that will help communities and scientific data that will enable our policymakers to make ecologically sound policy decisions. Last December 2018, the ADU became an MRC or Mindanao MREC, a Mindanao Energy Research and Development Center, through our Center for Renewable Energy and Appropriate Technologies or CREATE. Studies on wave energy and other aspects of the sun's power will be studied. Our campus is linked to Lumad communities through its various centers and councils. Ecoteneo's adopted communities include the Blaan in Tupi, South Cotabato, where we help grow the daycare center, bringing in teaching materials and supplies from the campus, getting our faculty and students involved. Our student leaders are exposed and taught by Matigsalug Youth in Buda, boundary of Bukidnon and Davao, and to other student leaders in the schools here in Davao. When we visit such schools in an eco-caravan, we bring reusable materials and books, and there is an exchange of ideas, projects, and advocacy. So our reusable materials and books are housed in what we call a room of requirement. There's a room in each unit. Well, at least in Matina, there's a room at the high school, and there's also a room at the grade school where all reusable materials from offices, from classrooms, and sometimes from homes are organized. So some are for donation, some are for the free use of our students and other members of the community. We were starting on a community project with the Ova Manobo in Sicao because they were supposed to have a heritage house, and we were going to do the eco waste management plan for it. We were going to do this with the USIC, our University Council for Engagement, but the peace and order situation last year did not permit for plans to flourish. As we get deeply involved in our path to changing into sustainable living in the campus and in our homes, we encounter the challenges and invitations for ecological citizenship for Davao City. After the university went SUP free, the MASCOM students conducted a study on the Rojas Night Market. They were shocked, as I am shocked to learn, that 30,000 plus plastics are generated every night at the Rojas Night Market because half of the Rojas street is closed and street vendors are allowed to set up their food business and other stalls. They spearheaded a Rojas Eco Market campaign, encouraging people to bring their own, to BYO. Early 2019 saw the Sanggunian passing a ban on balloons and lanterns, which is also, balloons are part of our Plastics 12. And before 2019 closed, a ban on plastics was in place at the Rojas Night Market. The SUP free fever was on, brought about by the state of our plastics oceans and the response of our youth. A virus most welcome, infecting not just the LGU but other universities as well. However, the city government, still overwhelmed with the volume of mixed waste reaching our landfill, has recourse to a waste-to-energy or incineration project that has gained the mayor's support as part of a sister cities project with Kitakyushu, Japan. So we are strongly opposing this as eco-waste advocates and practitioners. And last January, at the second Oya Davao Eco-Waste Summit, we were graced with the presence of Dr. Paul Connet, Global Zero Waste Advocate, Dr. Jorge Emanuel of Silliman University, key officials of Davao City government, and student leaders with civil society. We came together to dialogue and hear each other out. The Sustainable Davao Movement, the former Green Davao Coalition, released a position statement opposing in no uncertain terms the incineration project. This statement was fully supported by the university president on his own accord. We will continue promoting conversations with members of the ADU community for their full participation of the issues and for communal discernment. Before COVID entered, we were participating in committee consultations on weekend bike hours and roads. There is a bicycle ordinance of 2010 which hasn't been implemented. Supposedly, there should be bike lanes, bike parking in at commercial establishments. So this was a proposal forwarded by the Sustainable Davao movement. We co-founded SDM with EDIS, a Davao NGO partner, and together we serve as SDM Secretariat. We have a wider community of bikers in Davao, but only a few, and this is just the biking community of Ateneo de Davao, but only a few bikers commute because of road safety issues. In support of our local farmers and family health, the Matina campus has a Friday organic market in partnership with local farmers. Jacinto also holds an organic market from time to time through the School of Business and Governance. But aside from climate change, lack of infra support, our farmers cried out last year due to the effects of the rice tarification law. The ADU campus has been a welcome home to them. With the support of the Office of the President, we organized a dialogue at the request of Masipag Mindanao. There was supposed to be another round for this year to hear them out and plan on courses of action. So maraming mga after COVID to-dos. The road of advocacy may be winding and paths to the shift to sustainable living may be rough, but the reward is an engaged student leadership. Last year, we received a certificate of recognition signed by the city mayor herself for declaring our campuses SUP free. We shared this recognition with 5 other schools who also dared to make the switch. Assumption UIC, F. Bangoy, SPC, and USEP. Davao youth leaders are awakening and consolidating. So SDM now has a youth arm, SEED, the Students Environmental Alliance of Davao, of which founding and active members come from the Ecoteneo student unit. They have led countless climate strikes last year, raising the volume on the environmental actions we can push for together. Tomorrow, they will host a first online climate strike. So please look for the FB account and Twitter account of SEED. Okay. In my personal journey with ADU through Ecoteneo, I have witnessed and journeyed with student leaders who, even as students and later professionals, have inspired me and reminded me of what Ecoteneo is about. One is Amiel Lopez, recognized Dabaweño hero, graduated with the class of 2020 education as Jesuit Mission awardee, who had a chance to mentor for the Ocean Conference in Bali. And as President Scholar, he was also assigned to the office on his last year. His own initiative, Project Jezebel with the Bajau community, has grown in the short span of 2 years because of the big heart he has for community. This June 5, they aim to raise 50,000, and I have no doubt the activity is musikahan. So they have invited Mr. Joey Ayala among other local artists to help them raise these funds. I have no doubts that they will reach this goal. So Lem Manalo, I met in his student days as the first Ecoteneo student unit head. Today, he is a colleague of mine in the field of environmental planning, and we sit together in the local board, local zoning review committee. This is convened by the City Planning Development Office. We review and make recommendations on new projects on Davao City for the consideration of the City Council. Lem is a research specialist, and his countless studies on rainwater harvesting, parks, and green spaces have been useful in policy work and education. Lastly, the picture below is not an adopted area of ADU. We have adopted mangroves, carbon forests, etc. But it is a mangrove in Surigao. That was an initiative of a junior high school student, Kinesa, when she was still with the junior high. She graduated last 2017. When we visited with junior high admin and faculty to help plant, it was already growing from a 3-hectare to a 5-hectare mangrove area. A young filmmaker and scriptwriter director, their film Hibung won the second Lantawan Awards in 2015. Hibung was set in Hinatuan and told of the story of a lowly fisherman who discovers the mysterious underground river. There are countless others of our students supported by their families who are one in the Jesuit mission for ecology. We go beyond the campus in Davao City through our partners and network to help push for a green and safe environment for all. Our leaders have gone to Miss Or to send back Korean waste twice last year. Sana no more for the coming years. We are a member of the Eco-Waste Coalition, and along with other Jesuit universities in the Asia Pacific, including Ateneo de Manila and Xavier in Cagayan, we are geared for a Sustainability of Life project, a collaboration of Jesuit schools espousing sustainable campus and communities in response to the invitation of Laudato Si. Since 2011, this has been the Ecoteneo Vision Mission. a fruit of the communal prayer and reflection on the mission of reconciliation called in 2008 by the General Congregation 35 of the Society of Jesus. So they gather and then they discern what are the call of the times. And this was a product of that, the call and the mission for reconciliation. In 2015, Laudato Si came and breathed more life into this mission. We take to heart the invitation of Laudato Si to be one in nature that reflects God and to reflect in our actions with preference for the poor and excluded our worship and praise of God. That's it. Do we have time? I will end the slideshow now. Do we have time to share the video or maybe just later? I believe I have, yes.
Yes, ma'am, Melay. What video is that? We can actually...
The birthday video.
All right.
Sir, Sheen has the video.
Wait. So what do I need to do? Stop share. Stop share. Okay. Okay, stop share now.
Yes.
All right, so I'll be sharing the video now.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So the year that Laudato Si was released, we celebrated our 5th year. So now that Laudato Si is turning 5, we're celebrating our 9th year. This is just an invitation to all of you.
Sa dulo ng mundo, hanggang maubos ang ubo, hanggang gumulong ang luha, hanggang mahulog ang tala. Basta mo ang aking mata, di mo ba nakikita? Ako ngayon'y lumilipad at nasa langit na. Gusto mo bang sumama?
Hindi mo na kailangan ang magtago't mahiya. Hindi mo na kailangan ang humanap ng iba. Kalimutan lang muna ang lahat ng problema. Huminga ka ng malalim at tayo'y lalagana. Handa mo ba gumala? Para pa 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 para pa 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 para pa 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 para pa 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 para pa 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 para pa 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 para pa 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 para pa 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 para ra 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 ra. Daming bawal sa mundo, ang daming bawal sa mundo. Sinasakal nila tayo, sinasakal nila tayo. Buksan ang puso at isipan.
for joining us. Hanggang bukas pa daw ito, so I'll just be here.
Thank you so much, Miss Mala. So, ayan, mga participants, gusto nyo bang sumama? Okay. Hold on. For all those raising your hands, please, we will have a question and answer portion later. So please reserve your raising hands and questions for later in the open forum. Alright. Okay, and also this webinar is also recorded, so please be mindful, and it will be shown in Facebook page full and chat. And please have all the way, we have not necessarily about creating something in order to be environmentally friendly, like trying to create a huge program that is not applicable to your area. Like, you can do simplest things like mangrove planting, which is already a big thing. And you have to think about if it's adaptable to your area. For example, in Davao, Miss Mela had the biking, which is great for the environment. It's a great way of transportation. It's exercise, it's everything. But you might not necessarily do that in the middle of Metro Manila if your school is associate professor and director in universities, programs, and policies. It's used to evaluate the university's programs and policies and its compliance to national government standards in relation to environmental management and safety, pollution control, and disasters reduction. So it's not just about the standards of the school, it's also about the standards of the national government. And he is now the Vice Principal for Academics and Research. He is also a Research Fellow on Education for Sustainability, National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University. Without further ado, here is Mr. Marlon Pareja. Sir, are you there?
Good evening.
Good evening po.
Evening. So thank you for the opportunity given to De La Salle University to Dasmariñas for us to be able to share our experiences. First of all, if I'm going to conduct a survey amongst all of our participants to provide an example of a good environment program that can be implemented in their schools, I think there would be the top 3 answers would be the following. That would be solid waste, energy conservation, and tree planting. So usually when we talk about solid waste, we do programs on recycling, reducing, and reusing. Energy conservation programs for schools are turning off the lights when they are not used, and tree planting. So these are the common programs now. But I think you would agree with me when I say that most of the programs that we do in our schools and universities are somewhat limited to Environment Week, Earth Day, or other things. No? Meaning they are not given usual priorities, or it's not sustainable. I think the question here is, I think that the one that we can hear, us at DLSUD can share is really the paradigm. What paradigm are we using in our university? And I really would like to start with a very famous quote of a very famous scientist, that we cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that created the problem in the first place. And the best question that I can provide you, or the best I think challenge that I can provide you is can environmental education really save the world? And I think it really depends on how much extent to which our environmental education is taken up by our schools and at what form it will take. In DLSUD, so up to what extent do our schools take up environmental education? Is it limited to during Environment Week? Is it only limited to the science courses or environment courses? Or during Earth Day? Or during a week of caring for the environment? Let us provide us to share with you our paradigm in DLSUD, and that is the critical pedagogy of place. Critical pedagogy of place deals with the place, meaning the physical plant, no, where the school is located, the systems implemented in the school, and the different processes and culture done inside the university or the school is actually part of pedagogy. So how the school is being managed is actually part of pedagogy, or is actually part of how we teach our students. When a student enters a university, there are two basic curricula that he or she undergoes, and that would be the academic curriculum, and these are the subjects that he or she needs to take, the learner needs to take for him or her to pass the subject. But there's also a very important component in our curriculum, and that is the hidden curriculum. The hidden curriculum is how the students or how the school practices what it preaches. Do our schools reflect what we teach? Meaning, when we tell our students that inside the classroom, when we tell the students to segregate their waste, to conserve energy, to plant trees, when they go out of the classroom, does the school practice those things? Do the school segregate their waste? So that's the very nature of pedagogy of place. That the school, the physical plant of the school, and the systems being done inside the school is actually part of pedagogy. This is our university. It's located in the province of Cavite. It's a 27-hectare campus. Contains a lot of trees. As of this moment, there are about 1,396 trees all over the campus. And 40% of its land use are actually green. And we have a lot of experiences in terms of not just environmental education, but environmental management. But I really would like to, given the time, I really would like to share with you something, one of our practices that we can all relate to, and that is solid waste management. In 2001, the LSUD is a 27-hectare campus. We have 7 colleges, we have more than 1,000 trees, and we have more than 10,000 students. And if we're going to measure for each student producing about 300 grams of waste every day, multiply that with 10,000 students, multiply that with the number of school days in a month, that would entail a lot of waste. And if we put that in perspective of how many dump trucks per month, that would be equivalent to 12 dump trucks per month, or about 300 cubic meters of solid waste per month. And since LaSalle DASMA is a private institution, we need to pay for holding this waste to go outside the university. And the cost of that is about 2,500 per month, or roughly 30,000 pesos per month, as part of the operating expenses of the school. So just imagine, just for the university to haul its waste, going to the dump site is already a cost to university. And it goes to the dump site. And the university realized that it does not solve the problem. It's actually a moral issue, because when most of the time when our garbage are hauled out of the university, following the common mindset of out of sight, out of mind, usually we do not care where it goes. No? But the university realized that the 12 dump trucks per month of solid waste, where does it go? And it becomes a moral issue because it's dumped into dump sites. And I think that's the important thing for us to realize is our impact. We need to realize that our impact to the environment, we should see our impact as a moral issue. Otherwise, we will not be able to challenge the common business as usual paradigm. So this was the problem of the university in almost 2 decades ago. How do we manage in terms of our solid waste, in terms of the cost? If you multiply that with 30,000 per month, if you multiply that in a year, that's a lot of money. And of course, the impact, the moral and environmental impact. So the university realized that a solution needs to be found, or a new paradigm needs to be implemented. So the first thing we did was we characterized our waste. And we found out for so many years that the university has been operating, that 76% of our waste are recyclable and compostable. Imagine, 76% of the waste that we throw every month can be recovered. And in terms of operating costs, that's a lot of money. So we implemented a solid waste management program following 3 approaches, and that is enforcement, meaning policies. We need to enforce policies or create policies, and that would be the task of the administration. Engineering would be in terms of systems, and the most important is education, tied up with research, especially in terms of monitoring data. So in terms of policy, we implemented our own environment policy. And this was signed by the president. And the importance of this document is you'll be able to bring that document to every office that you want to implement your policies with, because it was signed by the president. We started banning plastic drinking straw and single-use plastics during the early years. We made littering as a major offense, and we banned styrofoam, smoke-belching vehicles, and even designated green spaces all over the university. Those are policies. Up to the point where even student organizations, they undergo a certification process. Every time they will conduct an activity, they need to submit a certification form online, electronically. And this is not a we don't provide sanctions for them if their environmental program are less environmentally preferable, but we provide reward systems. Every year we choose a student organization that is the most environmentally preferable, or a project that promotes sustainability. Another policy that I'm very proud to share with you is the ecosystem services fee. It's a fee, since we have a lot of trees all over the campus, and these trees, they provide what we call ecosystem services. They were able to reduce the temperature inside the university by 2 degrees Celsius. Meaning, if you enter the university, the temperature comparing it to outside of the university is 2 degrees Celsius. And it has a lot of impact in terms of our energy consumption, especially in the use of air conditioning units. But at the same time, every time a vehicle enters a university and a vehicle produces a lot of pollution, the trees are actually also provide ecosystem services by somewhat remediating those pollution. So we implemented a policy in which we added a fee to those vehicles that are applying for vehicle stickers fee. And we call it the ecosystem services fee. Meaning, the more you pollute, the larger your vehicle is, you need to pay a specific amount. You pay for the trees, no? And the fund that is being generated from that fee is utilized for the maintenance of those trees. So we implemented, in terms of system, we implemented waste segregation program. Aside from the solid waste, together with the food waste, so we have policies for the canteens and the concessionaire, including hazard waste. We created composting areas. What is important to these areas or eco centers, where waste are segregated and collected? These are also learning areas, meaning we let our students see these areas. We teach them how segregation is done, how composting is done, and the proper way of managing waste. And of course, the most important is education. We have here in the slide, you can see here, Intro 01. Intro 01 is a module given to all freshmen. So before they enter the university, they are oriented on the different policies of the school. And one of those modules is actually the environmental management policies of the university. So it's also important that all stakeholders are oriented. We have the security guards, the staff, the students, the parents, and of course the teachers. That's why in 2015, because of our aggressive campaigns on solid waste management, we're still a 27-hectare campus. We have 7 colleges and we created 1 high school. The population of the university increased from 10,000 to 17,000 plus students. But we're only able to generate 4 dump trucks compared to the 12 dump trucks per month coming in 2001. So we were able to recover 67% of our waste. We were able to reduce our operating costs, but at the same time, it generated income for the university. And we use this income to install a lot of solar lamps. Okay, so and therefore reducing our carbon footprint, and at the same time reducing our cost on energy. We have a 300-meter covered walk, which is solar powered. So it generates, stores energy during the day, and every time there is a blackout or a brownout, then we still have illuminations for students. And based on our computation, it was able to save about 2 megawatts of electricity and a reduction of our carbon footprint. The funds also that we generate from the solid waste management, we invested it in bicycle racks, and we encourage our students and all our stakeholders to utilize bicycles inside the university, because we are a 27-hectare campus. So to summarize our solid waste management programs, usually, of course, the last thing the last stage in solid waste management is actually disposal. But before disposal, the wastes are actually stored. And before they are stored, they are actually collected. Usually, our solid waste management program for our university or schools start with collection and end with disposal. These are the usual recycling, composting, and reusing. But when we go upstream to this process, before a waste becomes a waste, it is being utilized. And before it is utilized, it is purchased. So we implemented different programs within that stage of flow of solid waste, or that material flow of solid waste, until in usage, meaning we ban some items like plastic or single-use plastic, drinking straw, styrofoam, okay, and up to purchasing. No? We have what we call the green procurement. One very good example of this green procurement is lead-free paints. No? So together with Eco Waste Coalition, we created a policy on how we will be able to ban the purchase of paints that are, or lead-free paints. So I think this is something, this is a process that we can share to all schools to look at the solid waste management, not just from the issue of the waste becoming waste, but before it becomes a waste, including its usage and purchase. So the paradigm actually is when there is an inefficient use of electricity, transportation, resources, fuel, we should consider it as waste. Waste in terms of creating pollution, waste in terms of being a cost to the school, and waste being a reflection of our values and culture. And these are the different strategies, important strategies based on our experience. Policy is very important. And because it will create sustainability. Second would be the systems. Research or data collection is important. Education, and of course, monitoring. So that we can improve further our system or policy if it's necessary. Because in LaSalle-Dasma, we found out that when we embrace sustainability, it reduces the school's operating costs. So embracing sustainability is actually cost-effective. It creates a healthy study and working environment. It develops ecological citizenship. And it promotes moral ascendancy, meaning when a school advocates, let's say, for example, it's against mining, it's against plastic, it's against destruction for the environment, then the school has to practice what it preaches for it to have a moral ascendancy. So this is very important. And because of our activities, we realized one of the most crucial realizations that we have encountered is really the importance of community engagement. Because if our students are doing segregation or waste segregation inside the school, when they go out of the university, if their barangay is not segregating, or if their families are not segregating, it develops a sense of disengagement for the students. And we all know that for us to be able to create values, actions needs to become habit. And habit needs reinforcement. So if the school reinforces good waste segregation habits or good environmental practices, but when they go out of the university, it is not reinforced, it would be difficult for us to inculcate to them ecological citizenship. That's why it's very important that the school engages its environment, its community, or its outside community. And because of our efforts, we were given a lot of awards nationally. Number one is you have the Philippine Networks of Educators on the Environment, the PNEE. They have this program, we call it the Dark Green School. I think Dr. Galang will be able to explain it further later. But the Dark Green School is like a PAASCU. It's like an accreditation process. And schools are given status based on their greenness. So you can be a light green, and you can be a dark green school. Of course, the highest is the dark green school. And LaSalle-Dasma is one of the earliest schools to be given a dark green school status. The province of Cavite also gave us an award on being a model school on waste segregation. our campaigns on carbon footprint and reducing our carbon footprint, given as an Anvil Award. And in 2011, we were the most sustainable and eco-friendly school at the tertiary level. Internationally, we were also given certifications by the European Union through the Switch Asia. And I think we're the only Philippine university that's a member of the International Sustainable Campus Network. And there's also an international body that provides a metric system, meaning comparing the different green practices of different universities. And the LSUD since 2014 is consistently in the only Philippine university in the top 100. So it's the only Philippine university in the top 100 greenest university in the world. I think recognitions and awards are important, not because of the awards or the recognition, but making them, or for our schools to be giving them or joining this accreditation programs will provide us the standards and the best practices. But at the same time, when we win an award or we are recognized, it creates ownership, not just for the office or the school, but all the stakeholders inside the university or the school. And ownership is very important when we implement programs, when we want to change behaviors. Because when they own those awards, they realize that they need to contribute something. Of course, the sustainability, or practicing campus sustainability is not only localized, or confined to the Philippines. There have been a lot of practices now being documented, and this is the latest, published by Routledge. It contains a lot of the best practices and the paradigms and policies given by different universities all over Asia. So, but I think our challenge from the Laudato Si is for us to create new models of progress. And for us to be able to create new models of progress, we need to change our models of development. And I believe that that model should start from our schools. So, maraming salamat po from the LSUD.
Thank you so much, Sir Pareja, for that. Now, what we can take away from Sir Pareja's talk is, of course, the school is also a system in itself. So the government, much like a school, relies on policies in order to run in a more green, environmentally friendly way. And also we can think about that, like what kind of policies can we implement in our own schools? It's very important not just to think beyond the short term, beyond the programs that we can introduce within this year, but also what can the students in the future years also take away from our progress today. And so our next speaker for this evening, just a reminder that we are talk allotted for each speaker is 10 minutes po, but it's okay po, sir. Just so that we can have the full session for everyone. Like, there's time for everyone, and also for open forum. And for all those asking, yes, we will have a certificate, but we have to have at least 1 hour in the webinar. There is a record for that. And also, please answer the evaluation after so that we may ensure that you can have a better experience next time and continually improve. And for our next speaker, we have from Miriam College of the Environmental Studies Institute, Professor Carlo Garcia, PhD. He is currently the Executive Director of Miriam College Environmental Studies Institute in the Philippines. His areas of expertise include environmental education, public policy, program administration, community development, and volunteer management. He obtained his PhD in environmental education from Miriam College, Philippines, and his master in public administration, major in public policy and program administration from the University of the Philippines. For 20 years, he has been a volunteer evaluator of colleges, universities, and non-governmental organizations in the Philippines. He also worked as a human rights volunteer and social development volunteer in various marginalized communities. Professor Garcia, are you there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, hello. Thank you, Rodney, for inviting Miriam College to be part of this webinar. And happy Laudato Si week to everyone. It feels good to be in the company of giants. I mean, the best schools in the Philippines. It feels great as well to be in the company of two environment champions, Dr. Nina Gala and Brother Tagoy. Okay, so let me begin with two questions. Is Miriam College a Laudato Si school? As a community, we will live out the values of Laudato Si. Where are we in terms of the, how do you call it? The eco actions, the 7 eco actions. I hope to be able to answer these questions in this brief presentation. Okay. Integrity of creation is one of Miriam College's core values. We have 4: truth, justice, peace, and integrity of creation. This is not unique to us. Why? Because these are gospel values. Gospel values of truth, justice, peace, and integrity of creation. These are, of course, enshrined in our vision and mission, and at the heart of our Miriam spirituality. Miriam College has 4 advocacy centers, and each is assigned to lead the promotion of a particular value. For example, for justice, we have Women and Gender Institute, our MISMO, or Miriam Identity, Spirituality, and Mission Office, also do justice work. For peace, we have our Center for Peace Education. And for integrity of creation, we have my office, the Environmental Studies Institute. There is no particular office assigned for the promotion of truth. That's our responsibility. I mean, that's the whole institution's responsibility. Let me present to you some important milestones in our history. I mean, in the history of Miriam College's environmental advocacy. Miriam College started its environmental trust through a module on pollution in the seniors curriculum in 1973. That means curriculum integration. I mean, integration of environmental values started in 1973. And I would like to inform you that Dr. Tina Gala was the lead person. In 1978, Miriam College started offering DS Environmental Planning. In 1986, Miriam Peace, or Public Education and Awareness Campaign for the Environment, was born to promote in society what it had been teaching in school. In 1993, masterful programs were started. That's MS Environmental Studies, MA Environmental Education, and MA in Environmental Management. In 1998, the Environmental Education Center was inaugurated. In 1999, the PhD in Environmental Studies and in Environmental Education were launched. In 2001, EEC was transformed into the Environmental Studies Institute to consolidate and strengthen Miriam College's academic, extension, and research efforts for the environment. In 2009, Miriam College was cited as Dark Green School by the Environmental Education Network of the Philippines, now Philippine Network of Educators for the Environment. And in 2013, Miriam College won 2nd place in the national category and 1st place in the regional category as eco-friendly and sustainable school in the Philippines. The ESI, or Environmental Studies Institute, continues this long tradition of environmental advocacy in Miriam College. It pursues the same vision and mission to develop future leaders in service, respectful of the sacredness of creation, and who will work for equitable economic growth and social justice. The ESI envisions the development of environmental persons, development of environmental citizens, and development of environmental professionals. The ESI realizes its vision and mission through 4 programs. I'm not going to go into the details, but later on, just give examples. We integrate integrity of creation rather, in the curriculum. For basic education, integrity of creation is integrated in sciences, araling panlipunan, Christian life education. In higher education, we have, aside from our BS in environmental planning, MS programs, and PhD programs, we also integrate the same value, integrity of creation, into the following subjects. Ecological integrity is a module in MSTP and in a subject called MC, or Miriam College 101, or the MC Culture, Identity, and Social Responsibility. Environmental Corporate Social Responsibility, which is a subject in Master in Business Administration, MBA. Environmental Education, module in Educational Advocacy, subject in Master in Education. And the 7 Environmental Principles, a module in Miriam College Values and Ethics, a required subject for all graduate program students. We make integrity of creation part of employees formation. We give an orientation on the 7 environmental principles to all new faculty members of the basic education units. We provide, or we conduct, retooling on ecological integrity every year for basic education faculty. We share our best practices and provide reorientation on how to integrate MC4 values in the curriculum for our higher education faculty. We have Lunch and Learn, a learning session on the environment for our academic support group. And this is in partnership with Human Resources, with our Human Resources Division. And of course, the traditional tree planting as part of Gurong Lingkod and Kawaning Lingkod, managed by an office called MISMO. Gurong Lingkod is the volunteer program for faculty, and Kawaning Lingkod is the volunteer program for non-academic staff. We also promote our green spaces. We have a lot of gardens inside the campus. We have our mini forest, science garden, Wallis garden, the Merino Centennial Garden, and Loretta Castro Peace Garden. We actually call our school as a school within a garden. Of course, just like in other schools, we have our Environment Week, we have our Laudato Si Week, we have our Season of Creation Month, and just recently, after 2 years of advocacy, we were able to ban all single-use plastics in campus. This was approved as a policy by our President's Council. We have to admit that we are quite late on this, but it's okay, of course. And then we also have a policy on solid waste management and on energy conservation. We call it MAKITIPS. It's an acronym with a long meaning, but the bottom line is MAKITIPID. And we also maintain our materials recovery facility, or MRF. We partner with communities and LGUs for community-based resource management. Past initiatives include the reforestation projects in Biak na Bato, San Miguel, Bulacan, and Doña Remedios, Trinidad, Bulacan. At present, we manage a forest under a 25-year agreement with DENR. We have a project titled Empowered Community for the Forest, located in Barangay Layban, Tanay Rizal, within the Kaliwa watershed and part of the southern Sierra Madre Mountains. we manage a 180-hectare forest land. But we don't just grow trees. We don't just grow forest. We also grow livelihood. We also grow partnership. We grow advocates. And we do this in partnership with the Forest Foundation of the Philippines. Dr. Gala always emphasized this. To educate the people about the environment and for the environment, we have to do it within the environment. We have to immerse them into the environment. That's why we bring our students, our faculty, our non-academic staff to our forest. And here you will see our struggle to reach our forest. But the effort is worth it when you are welcomed by these sites. Beautiful. Indeed, our project site, our forest, and our partner community has become an ecological awareness site for our students and the faculty, for the whole community actually. And it has become the ecological conversion site and ecological action site for our community. Here you will see our college students traversing this river just to reach our forest site. These are our graduate program students. These are our faculty members. Just a minute. Here you'll see members of the Miriam community. And we have a bahay kubo near our forest. This was donated by our alumni association. And having some difficulty. Here, you'll see our partner, the community people. And the community youth. Okay, so is Miriam College a Laudato Si school? My answer is we're on our way. We know that there's still a lot to be done. So thank you.
Hello, thank you so much, Professor. Sorry, hold on. Things happening. Okay. Hello, okay. Thank you so much, Professor Garcia, for showing us exactly what the Miriam College has also planned in terms of environmental action. It's great to see like all these schools coming together and showing exactly what they're doing so that we know that it's sort of like a community within schools, a sort of solidarity, camaraderie, if you will. And next, for our last speaker for this portion of the webinar, we have our final speaker, I believe. Yes. So Assistant Professor Froilan A. Alipao, MCD, of the University of Santo Tomas, of the Simbahayan Community Development Office. He is a development worker, educator, and researcher with communities, community leaders, and students. He initiated and founded his development work with the church-based social action in the midst of the impact of Mount Pinatubo eruption in 1991 with the communities of Zambales province, where he was able to enrich his engagement in disaster risk reduction, relief to rehabilitation, community organizing and development, training, education, formation, local governance, solidarity work and justice, peace and integrity of creation, advocacies with the sectors of farmers, urban poor, fisher folks, women, youth, students, children, teachers, indigenous peoples, and church peoples. When I say well-rounded, this is him. From 2000 to 2002. He got involved in development research work with the support groups engaging with differently abled persons and at the same time teaching community development courses, major courses. In 2002, he joined with the University of Santo Tomas for two major tasks, a community development facilitator by the then UST Office for Community Development, or OCD, and UST Simbahayan Community Development Office. And he is a faculty member of the Department of Sociology. As a development worker and faculty, he produced and delivered several researches aligned with development, community studies, community organizing, and development. He believed and considered communities as classrooms and the university where he learned a lot while serving and journeying with them. So he is the current Assistant Director of UST Simbahayan Community Development Office and the Research Associate at UST Research Center for Social Sciences and Education. Without further ado, here is Sir Froilan A. Alipao.
UST Simbahayan is a part of the University of Santo Tomas. So we are the office in charge for community development, engagement, and advocacy. But of course, the University of Santo Tomas holds the distinction of being Asia's oldest existing university. Its age is coupled with its preeminence in the Philippine education. Not only does it boost in several firsts in the different realms of education, it also has administrators and faculty members who are holding leadership positions in the Philippines, like in the policy-making bodies and other professional organizations helping influence policies for the betterment of the society in general. So the identity of the University of Santo Tomas, it is a pontifical and Catholic University of the Philippines, and it is a Dominican institution of learning founded in 1611 under the patronage of Saint Thomas Aquinas. The mission of the university is in pursuit of truth, guided by reason, illumined by faith, dedicates herself to the generation, advancement, and transmission of knowledge to form competent, compassionate professionals committed to the service of the church, the nation, and the global community. So that's our university vision, mission, and identity, and a short history. So going back to the focus of my sharing, we are one of the administrative offices of the University of Santo Tomas, and we are assigned particularly on community development, engagement, and advocacies. Okay, so particularly the UST Simbahayan Community Development Office is tasked to develop, implement, and manage the university community development program towards the university mission of generation, advancement, and transmission of knowledge to form competent and compassionate professionals committed to the service of the church, the nation, and the global community. That's why the Simbahayan is an acronym of three words: Simbahan, Tahanan, at Bayan. So it addresses issues and concerns for the church, the nation, and the family, and even the global community. We are directly under the Vice Rector for Religious Affairs, and it covers programs and services and projects of the faculty and college-based organizations, student organizations in the university-wide level, even the two dimensions or departments of the National Service Training is under the UST Simbahayan Community Development Office. That these are civic welfare trainings service and the literacy training service sections of the National Service Training Program. And we are also working with different alumni groups and associations. And we have 8 social transformation programs like the culture, heritage, and sports and development, health and wellness development, equitable and inclusive education, leadership, organizational development and good governance, employability and social enterprise development. We have the socio-pastoral, ministry and evangelization, environmental sustainability and action, and the last is the disaster risk reduction and management. So particularly in this sharing, with the spirit of the Laudato Si, we are celebrating the 5th year of the Laudato Si. The our program in environmental sustainability and also the program of disaster risk reduction are more focused on the Laudato Si. But as I've said earlier, other programs, social transformation programs of the UST Simbahayan have also environmental aspects. So there are environmental sustainability aspects of all these programs. For example, in health and wellness, it has environmental concerns also. In the leadership and organizational development, environments and disaster are really considered in terms of leadership and organizational and governance in their respective communities. So all programs have linked to environment, to the call of Laudato Si. It's part of the overall advocacy and strategies of our engagement in the university and with our partner communities and institutions. But before we proceed with the different activities, projects, and engagement, we have a certain social transformation strategies, and we call it Tomas. Okay, so we pattern it after to the name of our patron saint, Saint Thomas. Tomas stands for training and education. O is for organizing, for empowerment. M is management for efficiency and effectivity. A is advocacy, research, and documentation. And S is spirituality of social transformation. So regardless of what programs are we going to implement, all these social transformation strategies of Tomas are embedded in all these programs and working with our partner institutions and working with partner institutions and communities. So particularly for this sharing, since the promulgation of Laudato Si in 2015, several months after the promulgation, we popularized the Laudato Si in our university. So we conducted a university-wide activity. Instead of doing a annual or regular retreat of the university, we adopted the Laudato Si as the overall theme of our university retreat. So in April 5 to 7, 2016, we conducted our university retreat in the title of Ambag Kalikasan. So Laudato Si is the main theme and the main framework of the university retreat. So for these 3 days, we discussed different issues, concerns of the environment, and then we came up with resolutions and recommendations on how we're going to adopt Laudato Si in our programs and services within the university and extending our programs and services to our partners. We have regular advocacies, like for example, in 2016, we have the Freedom Island Advocacy Forum So this is a discussion, a serious discussion about the last mangrove area in Manila Bay, where we can found it in the Las Piñas and Parañaque area in Manila Bay area. And also we have a regular activity project like Earth Hour. So we started in 2017, and that's an actual annual advocacy activity also. And then we have also advocacies in working with Dominicans for Justice and Peace. So we have the Walk for Creation. We work with and we walk with with the different religious organizations, NGOs, civil societies, organizations. And September 1 is a annual start of the season of creation until October 4, the feast day of Saint Francis. So we started it also in 2017. And then we have also the Walk for Creation, not only in Luneta, but also we conducted it in the university with our students, faculty members, and partner communities and institutions. And then we have also a regular Alert Tomas. So Alert Tomas is more of the disaster risk reduction and management engagement. So we have regular activities like basic life support system, seminars, discussions, exposures about environment, how to protect environment, how to analyze environmental issues and concerns. And then we also visited some NGOs and people's organizations who have a regular practice of environmental projects. So these are the annual activities in line with Alert Tomas. Okay. Last September and November, there's a continuous activity also of our Alert Tomas. We join in the Global Climate Justice Forum. Okay, so with that Justice Forum, we also join, together with other NGOs and environmental advocates in the climate justice activities. Okay, so and then we have a regular community service day, and these community service days were also aligned with the environment, like regular coastal cleanup and nature walk activity in LPP area, the Las Piñas, Parañaque Critical Habitat and Ecotourism area. And then we have a regular tree planting and growing activity. So from 2016 up to 2019, we have a tree planting and growing activity. So this is also a sample and evidences of our engagement to our different community service days. Okay. Okay. So all of our community service days are environmental in nature. So if you can see in our presentation. So, and then another example of a college-based engagement, for example, the UST CDRC, that is the Community Development Office of the College of Architecture in the university. They are working with their partner community, particularly in Barangay Sibulan, Nagcarlan, Laguna. So the community proposed a project wherein they develop a renewable energy project that is a solar power. So the College of Architecture facilitated to put up, I think it's 30 posts wherein there are solar lights, energy, solar lights energized by a solar panel. Okay. And then also one example is the engagement of College of Science, wherein they have also the Community Development Office. So last November, they celebrated their Community Service Day. Particularly, they sponsored a planting of mangrove in Calatagan, Batangas. And they work and partner with the community in Calatagan, Batangas. And they are now monitoring and making some follow-ups of the development of the mangrove areas in Calatagan, Batangas. Okay, this is also a continuation of the Calatagan mangrove planting project. I would like also to share with you the National Service Training Program engagement, like the CWATS and the LTS. They integrated the disaster risk reduction and management in their curriculum, wherein there are 100,000 NSTP students learn about community-based disaster risk reduction and other basic life support system using mixed method of Blackboard, e-learning, and classroom-based learning. And they have also community disaster risk reduction, wherein there were 2,000 at-risk persons from different partner communities analyzed their disaster risk situation and exposure, vulnerability, and capacity using the technology of the what we call participatory capacities and vulnerability assessments. These were facilitated by the NSTP students themselves. And then we have also the community emergency response training, wherein there are 4,000 community participants who underwent to cardiopulmonary resuscitation training and other basic life support systems, facilitated also by the NSTP students of the university. And of course, we have also the Lumad Bakwit School engagement. Some 5,000 students immersed in solidarity with the Lumad Bakwit. And then we donated hygiene kit for the different communities who are survivors of the different forms of disaster that is all around in our country. And then we have also the Unending Grace, wherein 30,000 students participated in Unending Grace. That is a Tomasian fun run, wherein we were able to earn fund and what we call this Tulong Tomasino. And these funds are allocated for every time there are communities and areas who are affected by different forms of calamities like typhoon or volcanic eruption. And the students are also engaged in community organic farming in partnership with the Franciscan Care for Creation. There were already 10,000 students participated in community agriculture in not only in the farm of the Franciscan group, but with our various partner communities. And students are also involved in tree planting and growing. So there were already 5,000 NSTP students who participated in tree planting activity in various partner community and institutions. Also, students participated in the regular coastal cleanup. So guided by this NSTP program, we are guided by the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. Sendai framework is effective from 2015 to 2030. Also, we adopted the Sustainable Development Goals as a guide and pattern in engagement of our students and our programs in NSTP, and also in our community development engagement. We are also considering the Republic Act 10121, the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010. And then also the basic life support training in schools. That is very vital for disaster risk reduction engagement. Okay, so we are tapping, as a university, we are tapping the opportunities of education to train our students to be more engaged in environment, disaster, and social transformation in general. And then we commit also ourselves and the different stakeholders to start with and build on what they have through continuous education, inspire them to act participatory development towards empowered communities. And students have also opportunity to make their fieldwork and community-based actualization of Pope Francis encyclical Laudato Si, or on care of our home, our common home. I would like also to share, because there are other offices also in the university, but they are also engaged in different environmental projects, like there are environmental researches. We have researchers who are involved in commission research project from the government, from the private organization. They are receiving support like funding and technical aspects or technical dimensions of the research from other groups. And then these researches were being maximized by the different groups to be able to make good policies, effective policies for environment, and effective programs also for environment. And as UST Simbahayan, because UST is part of the Dominican family, we are closely coordinating and linking with the Dominican family for justice and peace, Philippines. So aside from our university-wide university-wide engagements, we are also active in campaigning for the different issues that are degrading environments, like Homonhon mining and other mining areas in the Philippines. We are working with different advocates to stop the destructive mining in the Philippines. And also, may I also mention that we are also working with the different indigenous peoples. We have a partner communities in Bamban-Tarlac, the Aita communities, and then we are also working with the Dumagats in Antipolo, Rizal, Antipolo City, Rizal, and other advocacies in line with indigenous peoples' claim for ancestral domain and preservation of their ancestral domain and environment. We are also active in doing those kinds of advocacies. Okay, thank you very much. And this is our contact details. You may contact us for if you want to work with us or to know more about our engagement. And if we would like to conduct benchmarking or learning exchange, you are welcome to our office to know our engagement. Thank you very much.
Sumainyo ang kapayapaan. #Buhay Laudato Si. Sa panahon ng COVID-19 pandemic, ang maging isang responsableng mamamayan para sa kalikasan ay napakahalaga. Tandaan natin na ang kapaligiran ay hindi lamang ang inang kalikasan, kundi ang mga kapwa nating nakapaloob dito. Sa inspirasyon ng Laudato Si, bilang 211 ni Pope Francis, narito ang ilang mga kapakipakinabang na maaari nating gawin sa panahon ng krisis na ito. Una, panatilihing malusog ang pangangatawan. Kumain ng tamang pagkain at uminom ng maraming likido o tubig at kinakailangang bitamina. Huwag kalimutang mag-ehersisyo. Pangalawa, alagaan ang kalusugan ng iyong kaisipan. Iwasan ang sobrang pagdamdam at pag-iisip ng mga kwento at balita tungkol sa pandemic, kabilang dyan ang social media. Maaari mo ring gawin ang mga bagay na nakapaglilibang sa iyo na hindi nakapagdudulot ng stress at pagkabalisa. Pangatlo, panatilihing malinis at ligtas ang iyong sarili. Huwag kalimutang maligo.
Panatilihin ang personal hygiene at ugaliing maglinis ng bakuran at ng inyong tahanan. I-segregate ang mga basura at i-compost ang mga nabubulok. Pang-apat, turuan ang iyong sarili at ang iba pa tungkol sa COVID-19 pandemic. Alamin ang pinakabagong mga balita at makinig sa payo ng mga profesional at ng mga eksperto. Iwasan ang pagbabahagi ng fake news and information kahit ano paman ang mangyari. Panlima, maging isang responsableng mamimili. Kung pupunta sa palengke at bibili sa grocery, iwasan ang single-use plastics and paper. Iwasan din ang pag-aaksaya ng pagkain, tubig at iba pang mga gamit sa oras at pagkatapos ng community quarantine. Patayin ang ilaw kung hindi naman kinakailangan at bawasan ang paggamit ng kuryente. Pang-anim, alamin at mag-aral ng mga bagong kasanayan o skills. Maaari mong subukan ang pagtanim at pagpalago ng iyong sariling pagkain tulad ng gulay sa iyong bakuran, magluto ng mas malusog na pagkain o mag-aral kung paano pangalagaan o ikumpuni ang ating mga appliances. Malay mo, mayroon ka palang tinatagong talento na dapat mong tuklasin. Pampito, makipag-usap at gumawa ng mga aktibidad na makapagpapalakas ng inyong pagkakaisa at pagmamahalan ng pamilya sa loob ng tahanan. Of course, ang physical distancing ay dapat isaalang-alang. Pangwalo, huwag kalimutan ng ating mga kapatid na mas nangangailangan upang sila ay makasurvive araw-araw. Ang ating mga frontliners, ang mga nawalan ng hanap buhay, at ang mga walang makain. Magbahagi ng mga blessings. Mag-donate online o sa mga lehitimong mga organisasyon. Pangsyam, sundin at igalang ang mga panuntunan at mga bilin ng mga otoridad upang mapigilan ang malawakang paglaganap ng virus. Huwag mahiyang magtanong kung hindi malinaw ang mga patakaran. At huwag kalimutang idokumento at i-report kung may paglabag sa mga karapatang pangtao. At pangsampu, manalangin. Ipanalangin matapos na ang dilubyong ito. Tuloy-tuloy na panalangin. Idalangin natin ang mga frontliners at ang mga naapektuhan ng COVID-19 at ang kanilang mga pamilya. Alam natin na hindi tayo pababayaan ng poong may kapal. Ito ang sabi ni Pope Francis. Gayunman ang edukasyong ito na naglalayong lumikha ng pang-ekolohiyang pagkamamamayan, paminsan-minsan ay limitado sa pagbibigay ng impormasyon at nakakaligtaang makapaghasik ng magandang kaugalian. Ang pag-iral ng mga batas at patakaran ay hindi sapat sa katagalan upang supilin ang masamang pag-uugali, kahit na naruroon ang epektibong paraan ng pagpapatupad. Kung magdadala ang mga batas na ito ng makabuluhan at pangmatagalang epekto, dapat na nakararami ng mga kasapi ng lipunan ay maudyok silang sapat na matanggap ito at magkaroon ng personal na pagbabago upang makatugon. Tanging sa paglinang ng mahusay na pagkamatuwid na makakaya ng mga tao na mag-alay ng walang pag-iimbot na panatang ekologikal. May pagkamarangal ang tungkulin sa pangangalaga ng sangnilikha sa pamamagitan ng maliliit na pagkilos araw-araw at kahanga-hanga kung paanong nagdala ng totoong pagbabago sa paraan ng pamumuhay. #Buhay Laudato Si.
Right now, we are doing this webinar because it is the COVID-19 pandemic. We are all in. How would you has stopped? Okay, but how would you proceed with your advocacy now during this new normal, moving forward with this new normal? So, Miss Mela, would you care to answer that first?
Okay. Yes. Actually, we were discussing, my team and I were discussing weeks ago, no, kasi 'di ba Ateneo de Davao has shifted to online learning and blended learning. So what does that mean for us? Realize it was a happy problem to have kasi the goal of growing a sustainable campus naman is para mag-model and then gawin sa bahay, right? So what we're trying to do now is experiment a lot online. Una, sundin pa rin yung environmental calendar as though we are still physically going to the campus. We're going to have our webinar sa World Envi Day. Mag-ano doon, papakita ka na doon, di ba, Rodney? Nag-commit ka na maging reactor. We will have synchronized backyard bird watching. Month of June kasi yan, talagang busy month yan talaga for us. And then dahil
Sorry,
birthday
Miss
ng...
Mala.
Yes?
Is it okay if you answer in English po?
Ay, okay.
Because we have some audiences from outside who
Okay.
don't speak Tagalog.
Okay, so we're saying that we still at the very least follow our environmental calendar, but we just need to be more creative on how to go about it. Like June is the Philippine Environment Month and World Environment Month. So we will be having synchronized backyard bird watching, synchronized planting. It just needs a lot more preparation. But since our university is ready to go online learning, then we journey with the university. Yeah, as I said, it's a happy problem to have in a sense because the goal of growing a sustainable campus anyway is for everyone to bring it to their homes and really live it out. But yes, the challenge is there. We just have to be more creative and experiment. Like, does a TikTok work? Or it's already, gone past its limelight time, stuff like that. That's it.
Thank you so much. Professor Garcia, or would you like to answer that?
I think there will be more webinars similar to this, and we can maximize social media for environmental advocacy and activism. In our case, our forest is being managed by the community people. We have 23 backyard nurseries, and it's being managed by families. So our problem is we cannot go there because we are not allowed. But going back, here in NCR, we will be taking advantage of the social media to proceed, to pursue our environmental advocacy.
Thank you so much, Professor Garcia. And Professor Furlan, would you like to answer that part?
Sorry, I was disconnected.
What's okay.
I just come back. What's
Okay.
the question?
We're talking about now in the COVID-19 context, but how will you continue your advocacies and plans in your schools?
Yeah, there's a very urgent call for this concern environmental because pandemic and virus of COVID-19 is very connected with the environmental degradation, with the environmental crisis. In USC Simbahayan, particularly with our office, we are problematizing now what will be the main approach in engaging with communities. The basic question of what is new normal for our partner communities. Because in the university, we can simply define what is new normal, like doing the education through online, using different social media and communication technology. But in working with communities, what will be the new normal with the communities? Is there really a new normal? Or even before the pandemic, there's already a crisis. And we have to address the crisis even before, and we have to recognize that there's a new context of pandemic in the communities. How can we work with communities given that we have to observe physical distance, not social distance, but physical distance, precautionary measures, how to avoid the infections, no? We may be the carrier or maybe some people that we mingle with. So we have to blended the approaches now with our partner communities. So the academic, they have their own approach, okay? There's a specific office and administrative concerns in the university. But in working with communities, that's a big challenge. Even before the pandemic, even the training are conducted face-to-face, there's still difficulties to conduct trainings with communities. So with these situations, so we have to be more creative now. We have to be more creative, and people are also using social media. So we're thinking of a blended approach using social media, technology, and also face-to-face, but it has to be limited. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you so much. Sorry, we have very limited time lang po eh. So I would like to ask Brother Tagoy on his side naman po in terms of this COVID-19 pandemic. Brother Tagoy? I think you're on mute po there.
Okay, yeah. There are many battles, especially related to environmental campaigns, won through online actions. No? And I think this COVID-19 is an opportunity for us to maximize this absence of physical presence. But as I said, many battles were won through online campaigns regarding mining, reclamation projects, and other issues. And we just have to integrate more the better normal is in our schools. We have problems with students and even our personnel complaining about having no aircon. No? But this time, our situation made us realize that in closed rooms, air-conditioned rooms, will not be practical anymore with the virus. And then this can be part of our discernment that this is an opportunity to open our eyes also that we will not be spending more resources with these air-conditioned rooms, closed rooms, and other opportunities like school campus is beyond structures already. No? A good way to recover what we have lost through our abuses, through our many carbon footprints. That's all.
Yes, thank you so much, Brother Tagoy. Now, Sir Pareja, I believe this question is directed for you. From Francis Mendoza, how do we effectively implement programs and policies, particularly on solid waste management and energy efficiency? How do you monitor schools? And yes, how do you monitor our schools and teachers and learners about our common green education policies?
Well, first of all, the very first important thing is to institutionalize these programs, meaning they become part of the policy and monitoring processes of the school. Second, how do we integrate it, or how do we make sure that it's properly integrated? I think first is you need to have champions. You have to create champions in your respective schools, and these champions will help you to realize the different goals or to help you plan. Second would be administration support is also very crucial. If the administration has less support for embracing sustainability on campus, that would be difficult. Third would be empower the students. So when you empower the students, they can create more ideas, they can create more projects, and they can help you in monitoring teachers, monitoring systems, and at the same time suggest ways on how the school can implement more sustainable practices inside the university.
Thank you so much po, Professor Pareja. And now, another question about an update on the controversial Kaliwa Dam construction. Hello po, Dr.
I guess this is silver lining in this COVID pandemic, that they have the attention of those who are pushing for Kaliwa has been diverted. But it seems that the MWSS governance, for example, has been influenced already by our campaign. the campaign by the people, the, the stakeholders, the direct stakeholders like the indigenous peoples, the communities there, the NGOs, and the Stop Galiwa Dam campaigners have been relentless. And so, the general manager was our guest in our Kamayan forum, and we made known to him our sentiments. And next thing we knew, he was already talking about the revival of the Wawa Dam, more water derived from Laguna Lake. So it seems that we're getting to them. It's been de-emphasized in their pronouncements about the water shortage. So, but we have to keep the pressure. But it's we are, for now, it seems that it's on hold. Hopefully, alternate sources and conditions will finally put a stop to the Kaliwa Dam, which is a giant dam and will cause more problems than the benefits it will yield. Thank you.
I just would like to add, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines has a position on this. Actually, last year, they signed a petition, and also there's a statement about the opposition to the Kaliwa Dam. At the same time, in the 13 ecological actions of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines Pastoral Letter on Ecology, large dams there, it has been mentioned there. It was mentioned in the pastoral letter that actually believe also that large dams such as Kaliwa Dam is part and parcel of false solutions, as we know that there are indigenous peoples, communities issues, biodiversity issues, and many other issues. And the challenge here is that we really need to look at the root cause of this problem, such as overconsumption, and at the same time, climate change, extreme global warming, and of course, logging, and maintaining, of course, the balance in our mountain, the ecosystem surrounding Kaliwa, the proposed Kaliwa Dam as well.
Thank you so much, Sir Rodney and Dr. Galang. And now we have the next question, which is how are these schools start to integrate Laudato Si in their curriculum? Was there any constraints and challenges then and now? May I ask Brother Tagoy to answer this question, po? What challenges or constraints did you encounter?
There are many challenges. Number one is there's no common direction with regard to deep ed or CHED regulation. There is the idea, but the common way to do it. But in our experience, we supplement it with materials that can be used as a journal for the I have 3 articles as supplemental journals for senior high school students, no? Published by Phoenix, and these are ways to integrate. We cannot just put in environmental education into the curriculum without proper training, without proper correlation with syllabus, with all these requirements, no, in general. But this should not discourage teachers to supplement other ways to integrate ecological education. But there are teachers, professors who are very committed to this, and in their own they apply this curriculum, no? And through even practical subjects, through even research, they're working on this one. There are many researches related to environmental education, and a way this is becoming part of the curriculum. But a specific way, I think we need to improve this one. And comparing with the other countries, they really have something specific for English, math, science, and all these things. That's my answer, and maybe some speakers can also give their opinions and their experience. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Father Tagoy.
I think Doc Nina is raising her hand.
No,
Can
it's
I?
okay. I think Melai is. Melai.
Yes. For the high school, we're using the Healing Earth framework. It's online.
Okay.
For the design of the performance tasks. So they can just look it up. It's the Healing Earth. Is a It's a project of the Jesuit ecology project. No? So it's a framework where three subjects, social science, CLE, and science can meet, and then that's where they design the performance tasks for college. Regarding the core curriculum, they worked on it 2 years ago. Uh, I'm not sure as to the implementation, but when we were designing it, it seemed to make sense because anyway, we're in a Catholic university and the university mission was very clear. So the integration of the integrity of creation um, across the subject areas um, were there. It was just a matter of which materials to choose. So even for the Arupe formations like the NSTP, the integrity of creation aspect is also embedded in the in the modules.
Let me share also.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Professor
in our
Fernan, yes,
case,
please.
some cases that I observed were in the integrated Laudato Si. For example, in the science, technology, and society, we have a very particular area in that course under for the general education for the college. There's a allotted space for Laudato Si. And then also the theology classes or courses in the university. Since we started the new curriculum in the college, there are new title of the courses in the theology courses. And I think Laudato Si is integrated in the social teaching courses. And in partnership with the Institute of Religion, wherein that is the institution in charge for teaching uh, theology courses in the whole university, and the Simbahayan, we formulated a program wherein, aside from understanding the social teachings and social problems, students are now highly encouraged to involve in uh, social or community engagement. Though they have to transcend and translate or converse what they have learned in the theology courses, example in the social teachings, in a very specific sector, or very specific community and social problems with this very specific response. So it's like the praxis, no? So we're integrating the Salamanca process, wherein there's a reflection, action process. Okay. And personally, even though I'm teaching sociology, I'm integrating Laudato Si in most of our major courses in sociology as part of the Catholic educational system.
Question is about the challenge on how the youngest members of our school community, such as the primary school pupils and students, get engaged in this kind of effort on ecology and environment, and also with Laudato Si at hand. How would we encourage them? What are the challenges? What did you do to have them act on this? Any one of you can answer. Thank you.
I think the challenge now is the COVID times. No, I think we will have to rely on the parents now because it was easier when we still had our campus because it's integrated in the classroom teaching, in the um, calendar of events when they mark the UN week, etc. And then there's the garden where they can play, etc. But now I don't have an answer for that. What I can imagine is trying to reach out more to the parents now who are homeschooling so that the experience of their children um, of nature at home will foster the love for nature. That's it.
Professor Garcia, Miriam has primary to college. What's your experience in this?
Before the quarantine, we invite parents to join us. You probably have seen those photos of young learners doing tree planting in our forest. They were with their parents. So that's, I think, the best strategy. You invite the parents. Now that we are in this kind of situation, Miriam will transition to online learning, and we were already informed to prepare materials that can serve as supplements that can be distributed to parents, of course, within our LLS, our learning management system, and that so that the parents, as what Melay said, can also join us in our advocacy. They will become the influencer.
Thank you, Professor Garcia. So we have Doc Nina, and then we have Sir Marlon Pareja. Doc Nina?
Yeah. Sorry. The Child Study Center of Miriam College actually was one of the initial doers of our action for the environment in their own way. We know that in preschool, the little kids always celebrate their birthdays with a class, and early years, it's very, very early, we had this policy of the families or the kids and their parents not allowed to bring disposables and not allowed to serve fast foods, and they had to do their whatever waste they had to segregate very, very early on. Composting was taught to them, and they found it so intriguing because the composting can be done in a glass jar. And so they see the layers of transformation from waste to compost. So it's really a blessing that we can start training them from their early years. And all schools, I think, should really take advantage of our influence on the little ones. The online, they can show these experimentation. They can show how to segregate your waste, how to compost, how to plant. Very visual techniques can be done online. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc Nina. Sir Marlon, any?
Lasal Dasma do not have a does not have a primary school, but I think contrary to common belief, I think their primary school students are actually easier to teach in terms of modeling, in terms of the proper skills, because they're very curious and they believe more of their teachers rather than their parents. So when we teach them good values, they bring it home. They, quote unquote, they bring it home.
Thank you very much, Sir Marlon. There's another question here from Mr. Centeno. He wanted to ask you about your view on how extension services of a university be done now in this new normal, if it is new normal, a setup of the university wherein the physical engagement to communities, especially partner communities, is made almost impossible due to health protocols of physical distancing. But I think this question has been addressed, but any unique insights on this, speakers?
Particularly?
Yes, Sir Puroy.
Yeah, of course, I belong to an office of community extension or community development of the university, and that's our main task in the university. We have to wait for the right time for a direct engagement. When we have a leveling off with our community development coordinators in the university, we raise the suggestions of there will be a blended approach in doing community extension. For example, there are only few university personnel or community development workers who will go to community, but students are limited in engagement. Of course, parents will not allow their sons and daughters, their students to engage directly because of fear. Now, we don't have any medicine yet for this virus. So some university staff or faculty members and researchers can go to areas, but there will be a right time for that. Okay, but the bulk of students will be engaged more on online. So for example, they have to think of what training, what creative community engagement that they can uh, partner with the communities. But the challenge that we have pinpointed during our discussion, how communities can connect to through social media. If it, if this in our case we have problems in internet connections, what's so much with communities, right? So we are encountering internet connections even with our case in this webinar, but with the communities. So we have to really with our imaginations. I think we have to look for remedies. And leaders now with our experience in the community organizing for almost 20 years in direct community organizing, leaders now are they can mobilize with themselves. No? They can coordinate with the local government units. So even the community organizing can also be virtual community organizing. You say, because the traditional community organizing is you have to live with people. So how can we live with people, immerse with people with this kind of situation now? So we have to tap technology, right? So, and then of course, the challenge of, I think even Miriam and Ateneo, they are also using service learning, right? Service learning approach. So what, there's also a implications of this pandemic, of this situation in our service learning approaches, right? So in our university, we are already integrating some approaches and strategies of service learning, for example, in health allied sciences, medicine, nursing, pharmacy, physical therapy. So how can they engage now with their community flavor of medicine or nursing? How can they do that? So I think the health sectors can also formulate some strategies and remedies. How about in social sciences, in tourism, for example? How can they engage with communities given with this context? So I think people are people in the university are also thinking now of what will be the best solution. But I think the most of the universities and colleges and educational institutions, they are more concentrated right now for academic approaches. But with the community extension, they have to follow certain regulations and imaginations how this community extension will be implemented in the future.
Thank you, Sir Puroy. There are some questions here about how would they participate in Laudato Si Schools initiative, but at the same time, how would they participate as well and integrate Laudato Si principles in public schools? I think for public schools, it will be a little bit complicated because of the religious dimension of Laudato Si. But there's another one here saying that it can be integrated in values education, where the new K to 12, and at the same time we have some subjects on edukasyong pagpapahalaga. Perhaps they can actually integrate environmental education, but at the same time, there is an environmental education law already, and it many years ago, and the full blast implementation of that law, I think, is not yet achieved. So if we wish to engage in integrating Laudato Si in our, not only in curriculum, but in the curriculum, but also in the whole strategic process plan of the school, That's why we have this webinar. We have this session to start the conversation. And if we talk about standards, framework, there's no standard yet. There's no framework yet. Every school, every Catholic school, every Catholic university has their own way of integrating Laudato Si in their curricula. But again, the challenge here is it's not only about the curricula, it's all about the strategic direction of the school. So I think it's good that we are starting this conversation, and it's already 9:48. And everybody, I think, is very interested. We'll extend a little bit. Noel Amurao said that political will is a must for this huge project. Her question is, how have we done something about this and the impacts of the project of government coming from multinational espousing almost non-environment friendly method of manufacturing and operation. This is very clear in Laudato Si. Pope Francis' words about multinational corporations, transnational corporations, abusing resources, etc. This can be part of Laudato Si schools integration, not only in the curriculum, but in the advocacy. For our panelists here, what is your insight here? What did you do, for example? Give us an example of this kind of case. We're in a particular Catholic school, looking at some government projects. They help communities and also help in research and proposing these projects. Any one of you? Yes, Sir Marlon.
Well, in terms of the government projects, Dasma has what they call the Cavite Development Research Program. It's a research-based program in which we want to help the province of Cavite develop in the development of Cavite. So it's a research-based planning and development in terms of governance, and sustainability is one of that primary agenda. With regards to the question in terms of how do we engage with multinational companies, I think schools also or universities are also consumers. They're also consumers, and they are consumers of products. And green purchasing is one of the ways in which we can push companies to create products that are environmentally preferable. So in La Salle Dasma, we do not buy paints that have lead. We ban single-use plastics and drinking straws. So those are some of the ways in which we engage with companies and also accredit suppliers that would also embrace the paradigm of the school in terms of environmental sustainability.
Thank you, Sir Marlon. Ma'am Melay, yes.
For us, we have when we do our coastal cleanups now, we do the audit already, the brand audits. So we keep track of this data and then also promote it on public, on Twitter, on our platforms, so that we engage by creating that atmosphere of awareness that we should be disengaging with companies unless they become more responsible. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone? So there's another issue here. How about policy or response initiative on the illegal black sand mining in Cagayan Valley? I think the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines is very clear that they are against these kind of natural resources abuse, specifically mining. And even the former Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Tuguegarao, Archbishop Utleg, and even I think Archbishop Bakay, they're very clear that they are against all these. Of course, there are some other issues surrounding this black sand mining in Cagayan. Another question for everyone: do you allow other schools or universities in the Philippines to do benchmarking with you in terms of environmental education and in terms of Laudato Si integration? Yes, Sir Marlon. Yes.
Yes, we've been visited by a lot of schools, and we are more than willing to share our experiences to all schools.
All right.
For free. For free.
For free. free, for free. How about Mamelay? I know in Ateneo de Davao is one of the few Catholic schools which using solar energy in on your rooftop. Can you share briefly about that?
It's part of the plan of our admin, no? It's part of the design of our campuses. I'm not sure if there's already a program. I was sharing earlier, no, in our talk that there's a push nga within the university community to ask if how the university can help enable the employees go solar in their households. As for the question of partnering with schools, we're very much open to that. LaSalle Dasma is still our mentor. I mean, we're still hoping to join the dark green school and the UI Green Metrics Top 100. And we've also journeyed with Ateneo Iloilo and Ateneo de Cebu, but we also have partnerships in Davao. So you're more than welcome, and we also visit other schools outside of Davao.
Thank you.
For free also, for free.
Brother Tagoy, you want to answer that? More projects, benchmark, etc. USJR, UNOR.
USJR has a center for recycling facility. As a recycling facility, we rename it as Recoletos Institute for Disaster and Environmental Management. It is a recognized center recognized by Region 7 as the Center for Recycling Education, our center in Cebu. And I would like to mention the question earlier. There's a school in Cebu, St. Teresa's College. One subject in the religious education department is Laudato. This is a highly commendable effort of the administration and of the school, that they were able to really not only integrate Laudato Si as a lesson, but really as a subject within their curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Winken is already here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Other universities are welcome to our university to engage with our different programs, especially in community engagement, particularly environmental sustainability and action. So with our partner communities, we are conducting different programs and projects. So that's already community-based projects with our partner communities. And we are also doing benchmarking, or we don't call it benchmarking, but we call it learning engagement with other universities. So we already visited St. Paul University in Dumaguete, also an awardee of the DNR for making their campus a green campus, just like with Silliman University and other universities. So we are also learning from the practice of other universities, so we can exchange, especially with us as a Catholic universities. We don't have to compete in UAAP or in other academic excellence, but we have to work. I think that's the challenge with the Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines. We have to really strengthen our framework and advocacies, programs, and academic approaches in implementing and integrating this Laudato Si with our different programs.
Thank you, Sir Puroy. Actually, we have contacted the Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines for this webinar, and we've been actually waiting for their response. And yeah, we will do our best. We met them, I think 2 or 3 months ago, and they're willing to work with us. But then again, because perhaps of the pandemic, they weren't able to respond to us. So I think just to close the Q&A, and I'll be turning over this to Winken. There are some requests here on how we can actually work with DepEd and CHED. Well, first and foremost, Laudato Si integration in the curriculum and in other programs of public schools would be difficult because of the non-sectarian approach of DepEd and CHED. However, because of DepEd's priorities like makakalikasan, makatao, makadiyos, I think it is where we can integrate. And that may also depend on the leadership of the school, on the principal, on the one who's in charge of these programs, of the subjects under K to 12 and the like. So I think if you wish to engage with us, this webinar is just a spark of an ongoing conversation, and these people in front of you will be meeting again, perhaps via Zoom or personally, for us to, in a way, level off and develop a certain kind of standard for integrating Laudato Si in the schools, not only in the curriculum, but also in the whole strategic direction of the school, so that we will have that criteria to say that such school is a Laudato Si school. So I think I'll be turning over now this platform to Winken, but rest assured that all your questions are documented through the Zoom platform. And if there are more questions, and if our panelists weren't able to answer those questions, then we'll send these questions to them so that we'll be able also to respond to these queries. So Winken, take it.
Thank you so much, Sir Rodney. Thank you for taking over. I also have internet problems. And now for our closing remarks, here is Dr. Angelina P. Galang of Green Convergence. She is the president of Green Convergence, actually, for Safe Food, Healthy Environment, and Sustainable Economy, which is a coalition of environmental organizations and individuals working for socioeconomic upliftment of our people while protecting the environment. Her other main NGO is Consumer Rights for Safe Food, which advocates organic agriculture and natural food-based diet. Her other main environmental involvement is with the Philippine Network of Educators for the Environment, which she led as president as well for several years. She holds bachelor's and master's degrees in chemistry and a PhD in environmental science. She has been teaching at Miriam College for the past 54 years, where she held various administrative positions, the last being executive director of its Environmental Studies Institute. She continues to be passionate in her advocacy for the sake of her grandchildren, who she says deserve a world as beautiful as that which the Lord gave us. Without further ado, here is Dr. Angelina P. Galang. Dr. Galang.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening again.
I think this is the hardest role in any conference, giving the closing remarks, because there's so much that has already been shared. And really, for the past 2 hours, I'm so heartened to hear of the initiatives, the programs of the schools that were represented here. And I would like to thank you and congratulate you on the work you're doing. I know that your schools have been giving earth education, but Laudato Si has given all of our schools the push to push it further and more passionately. Well, as closing remarks, I'm supposed to synthesize and then give my own insights. Well, I'm happy to observe that all of you do not just stay in the classroom, but translate the theories to action outside. And that's what we're called upon to do by Laudato Si and our own obligation to take care of the earth. So from what I see, the standard features of the schools, which are green, are solid waste management, infrastructure that is earth-friendly, like those that can conserve energy, water, maximize natural sources of energy, etc. Ecosystems protection, like mangrove planting, forest regeneration, conservation of resources like paper, energy, water, etc. The call of Brother Tagoy was for standard system of evaluation of green schools. Yes, I agree with that, but there are already systems like the dark green schools of the Philippine Network for Environmental Educators has been mentioned, which is also similar to the system that is used by the Environmental Management Bureau for their eco-friendly schools. So it would be very easy to merge these. When I talked to PAASCO before about integrating environmental or ecological items in their um, matrix, they pointed out that there is already something like that. But are we happy with just being integrated in a general system of evaluation? I feel that because of the need, it would be good if we had a separate green evaluation for now, so that it will be emphasized and not just one of the features of a school like they do in PAASCO, PACO, etc. So I don't know, maybe this can be, you can be a core group which can look into that and strengthen what the PNEE is already doing, no? Okay, the other one was mentioned also by Brother Tagoy, I think, that schools should be able to measure their ecological footprint. I think this is very important because schools have different contexts and they have different capabilities in studentry, in location, etc. But in their own context, uh, can they be carbon neutral at least, if not carbon negative? Okay. I think that's a very good program, and this core group, your group can lead it. The standard features of an evaluation instrument, uh, among those that I mentioned are policy, and I would like to commend Brother Tagoy's sharing that they are actually looking into a framework for all their schools, involving all their stakeholders. So policy, campus management, which as Marlon mentioned, that we need to do pedagogy of place. That the place, the campus should be a teaching tool. Then you go on research, you go on advocacy, and my hats off to the incineration advocacy of Ateneo de Davao, because that is really, really a threat to the environment, no? Outreach, I think all of you have been very impressive in that. And Carlos' description of the Laiban, of Miriam's Laiban outreach, where they not only protect the forests, but also give the community the tools for improvement, and therefore to move away from destructive kaingin or logging. No? Okay, I said that it's good that you move from the classroom theory academics and move to outreach and advocacy. But we should also remember our own advantage as a school. In our courses, we should make sure that we use the environment to improve our courses and to use our courses to improve the environment. For example, many kids say, chemistry, boring. How can chemistry be boring? Okay, now that I'm in my vantage point, now I know how chemistry can be interesting, but I also found it boring before. But when you talk about the ozone layer depletion, for example, and you connect that to the covalent bonds, which hold the chlorofluorocarbons together. And this is why they're so stable and they can migrate to the ozonosphere, where the ultraviolet rays hit the and dissociate the chlorofluorocarbons. Then it makes the covalent bonds interesting, and they make the subject matter interesting. So we married environmental education and chemistry. You can do that in biology, you can do that economics. So the courses need not be boring because of their practical application on the environment. Let me just give my own input and explain why people have different perspectives about the environment. I am older than all of you. You can be my students, so I will talk like a teacher now. The statement is always given: environmental education for ecological citizens. That's a very good statement from the Pope. I looked at the levels of Earth education from 3 levels or 3 perspectives: the environmental perspective, the ecological perspective, and the spiritual perspective. The first, the most basic, is environmental education. When we say environment, this is really a very subjective thing. And whose environment are we talking about? We're talking about the human environment, of course, since we are our species. And so it's easy to teach environmental education and tell people we should take care of the environment because it gives us what we need for life, for enjoyment, for livelihood, for security, clean air, water, healthy soil, natural resources, for medicine, construction, manufacturing, etc. This is easily understandable by any thinking person, and any sincere person would realize that we should take care of the environment because it provides us with what we need. The higher perspective is the ecological. This is a perspective that is not subjective, but and not anthropocentric, but is objective. This is how it is. The relationships and interconnections of all creatures with each other and their physical environment, regardless of whether any or none is useful to humans. As Pope Francis says, each and every creature has its intrinsic value. This is a perspective that respects the ties that bind all creatures to each other and to their physical environment. And weakening these ties, any of these ties, will weaken the biodiversity, the web of life. And schools have the unique role of teaching ecology in the depth that it deserves. The students are with us so many waking hours of the day, except now that we're in our homes, but they're often with us longer than they are in their homes every day. So day in, day out, we can use our unique advantage to teach them. And ecology is a science. So let's treat it as a science so they will understand better what this thing is all about. We have the great opportunity to bring to them the intricacies of the workings of nature as they are in our care for so long. Of course, as I said, the challenge is to make them excited over these wonderful intricacies because we have a wonderful world. Fortunately, we now realize that the environmental perspective, which is usually subjective, and the ecological, which is objective, are not necessarily contradictory. If we are to have a good environment for our species, we have to take care of all else. The danger is when human instincts put ourselves above everything else and let tomorrow take care of the destruction we might cause. And worse, when greed and selfishness exacerbate this instinct. The spiritual perspective can rein in this instinct. The spiritual perspective is the recognition that there is an entity who is the ultimate source of this wonderful universe. It is this creator to whom we are responsible and with whom we are his partner because he made us in his image and likeness, we believe. In living this privilege, we have certain virtues among others that are called for. Humility, the acknowledgement that we are but one species among billions, just as important as we are in the eyes of God, no matter how some of are born to more privileged status. Generosity and compassion for those who are less advantaged in less advantaged situations in life. Faith that God will give us what we need without our inordinate pursuit of material goods, just as he takes care of the lilies of the field and simpler creatures. Sacrifice, efforts to live simply so that others may simply live, as the cliche goes. And most important, gratitude, because he has given us innumerable blessings of life and blessings in life. And here, Catholic schools are most relevant. Um, I noticed that we're all Catholic schools, all the speakers are in Catholic schools, but all religions preach this respect for life and respect for the one who gave us life. But in Catholic schools, when we talk of Jesus, we have the best example who teaches us these virtues. How readily we can integrate the care for the earth in the whole of our Catholic education curriculum. In theology, sociology, philosophy, economics, business, we can inject awareness of what is happening in human affairs vis-a-vis the natural world and imbue in our students sensitivity to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, which are nothing more but faithfulness to the teachings of Jesus Christ. And definitely, we should teach them to say, Laudato si, mi Signore, for everything he has given us. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you to all our speakers and to Rodney and Sheena for this great session. Good evening.
Good
Thank you.
evening. Thank you so much, Dr. Nina Galang, for that. It was a perfect wrap up for our session. And now for our announcements and reminders, we have our engagements and constituency officer, Ms. Sheena Katrina Orihuela. Sheena, are you there?
Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you, Wing. Thank you to all our speakers and to all our participants. Just going to make it quick as we're about to wrap up this session. For our last webinar session in celebration of Laudato Si Week, we have on May 24, Sunday at 7 p.m., we will be having a webinar session on sustainable development goals and Laudato Si towards ecological solidarity. So we will be joined by, of course, Father Josh Strom of Sector on Ecology and Creation, Vatican Dicastery. We have Ms. Shara Martinelli of SIDSE, Cooperation International, and by our very own program manager, John Leo Algo. We will also be launching our online Laudato Si and SDG handbook on Sunday. So I think this is a very helpful to all students and to all the teachers to know more about the interconnectedness of sustainable development goals and SDG in caring for a common home. And also, Laudato Si Week reminds us to heed the cry of the poor and the cry of our nature, and that Pope Francis invites us to urgently respond to the ecological crisis. So please do join Laudato Si Week activities. And just a quick reminder, certificates will be given upon request and upon completion of our online evaluation form, and we will be giving out to all the participants who were able to be here with us at least 1 hour the webinar session. And then we apologize for the delay due to more than hundreds individual requests. So please expect it within 5 to 7 days. So you can share your okay. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We will be posting all our webinar recordings. And please use the following hashtags: hashtag Laudato CPH, hashtag Laudato C5. And for this year's theme, sir, please follow us on our Facebook page again, Living Laudato Si Philippines. Living Laudato Si Philippines on Facebook, Twitter at Laudato CPH, and Instagram at Laudato CPH. You can also send us an email by email at info@livinglaudatosc.org.ph, and please do visit our website www.livinglaudatosc.ph, and hope we can collaborate and work in the near future. Together, through action and faith, we can solve the ecological crisis. And that's it on my end. Thank you so much to all the participants, and again to all our speakers.
Thank you, Sheen, and I would like to thank our co-organizers of this webinar. We have the LaSalle University-Dasmariñas, we have Simbahayan at the University of Santo Tomas, Ecoteneo of the Ateneo de Davao University, the Environmental Studies Institute of Miriam College, Recoletos Schools, Arcores, and also the Green Convergence for Safe Food, Healthy Environment, and Sustainable Economy, the Global Catholic Climate Movement, and the Archdiocese of Manila Ministry on Ecology. I would like to personally thank also our partnerships and events manager, Rex, and Sheen Orihuela, our engagements and constituency officer, for pulling all the resources in and the resource persons as well. And all of you right now, we had 900 registrants, and we have more or less 500 participants, active participants in this session. And yes, for the 24th on Sunday, this is organized by Living Laudato Si Philippines, and in partnership, of course, with the Corporación Nacional por el Development Solidarité, Citizenship network in Europe, and also with the Sector on Ecology and Creation of the Vatican. And together also we'll be joined by Iyad, Dr. Iyad from the United Nations Environment Program, Faith for the Earth of UNEP, and of course with Global Catholic Climate Movement Ministry of Ecology of the Archdiocese as well. So thank you so much, and Doc Nina, thank you. To our speakers, thank you so much. And this is just a commencement, the start of our ongoing conversation for Laudato Si schools. Winken?
Thank you, Rodney. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
And we invite you for our closing prayer, the Oratio Imperata. Thank you, Winken.
Oratio Imperata. God our Father, we come to you in our need to ask your protection against the 2019 and coronavirus that has claimed lives and has affected many. We pray for your grace for the people tasked with studying the nature and cause of this virus and its disease, and of stemming the tide of its transmission. Guide the hands and minds of medical experts, that they may minister to the sick with competence and compassion, and of those governments and private agencies that must find cure and solution to this epidemic. We pray for those afflicted. May they be restored to health soon. Grant us the grace to work for the good of all and to help those in need. Grant this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, God forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Mary, help of all Christians, pray for us. Saint Raphael the Archangel, pray for us. Saint Roch, pray for us. Saint Lorenzo Ruiz, pray for us. Saint Pedro Calungsod, pray for us.
Pray for us.